guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, bringing you Match Day Live Champions League edition. And guess what? Only one team in North London can say that, as Tottenham travel to Marseille tonight for their final Champions League Group D game, with qualification to the last 16 still up in the air. All we need is a draw. But we did get the job done at home, but Harry Kane's left bollock was deemed to be offside. So fortunately, we are left to go to Marseille tonight to try and get the job done. We are still top of the group, but are just 2 points ahead of fourth place Marseille, and all four teams can still advance. All we need is a draw to secure that qualification and to get through the game with us today, because there are a lot of nerves going around today, a lot of nerves in the Spurs fan base. But just quickly, look, tonight, the whole world is absolutely waiting and watching for Tottenham to slip up tonight. And just hopefully we can rekindle some of that spirit from the Champions League run to the final, where we never know we're beaten. But to help us calm the nerves ahead of the big game today, we have assembled some of the finest people inside the Flat Cap Army to get us through to the game. Jack, how are you keeping, brother?
Keeping pretty well, Dave. I'm looking forward to seeing how you're going to psych me up for this one, how you're going to pump me up for this one, because I'm kind of with the rest of the guys here. I'm a little nervous headed into this one. Never wanted this one to matter at all, this game, but we'll definitely talk about it. But Dave, you have magical powers when it comes to these pre-match build-ups, when it comes to these pump-ups, the way the questions are phrased sometimes, the ways that you kind of take us, the pathway, the journey that we usually go down. Hopefully, I'll be saying 4-0 by the end of it, but very nervous ahead of this game.
I'm hoping you will, Jack, but there are a lot of stats that state otherwise, so we literally have to go against the grain tonight if we want to get something. Kuva, how are you keeping, man?
The bad kind of nervous energy this time. I'm half can't wait for the game to start and half dreading it at the same time. It's just one of those things, isn't it? It's on the brink of knockout stages. This becomes everything, doesn't it? So, squeaky bum time. I think that's the general consensus, I think, around the Spurs community.
100%. I think so. Definitely squeaky bum time. Shawnee, I mean, it's been a while since you've been on one of these, and the people are only going to ask for it. What day is it?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it is game day!
How are you keeping, my man? Absolutely love that. Gets me pumped every time I hear it.
I haven't done one. I did one this morning on my my dog walk, but that was the first time I was exercising the vocal cords for a fair few months. I'm good. Two reasons I'm good. One is Sky have just delivered me a new router.
Come on.
And so they think that's the problem. So I need to figure that one out. But the other thing is that I'm excited about the game. Yes, I understand all the reasons why we're going to talk about why it could be nervous. It could be a bad night, all that stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, this is what it's all about. This is why we support Tottenham. This is why we wanted the top four. Okay, it's not the final, but it's a final within a competition right now. These are the moments, these are the times when we need to get like embrace the energy, embrace the nervousness. Because would you rather be watching Tottenham playing tomorrow night against Pneumonia FC, like Manchester United had to do last week? No, you'd rather see us have to put everything on the line and see if we could snatch it.
This is a very Spurs-esque final.
Yeah.
This
it's
is
brilliant.
like a Spurs-esque final.
This is why we support
the manner in
football,
which
right?
we've gotten here, everything. So right.
Let's get it going. Let's get it done.
I agree. I agree. Look, I've been nervous all week since the Sporting result heading into this. But you're right, Sean. This is what football is all about. And you're right as well in saying, we'd rather have it all on the line tonight rather than playing some shit team in the back arse of nowhere in the Europa Conference League. But regardless of result tonight, we will actually have European football after the World Cup, because regardless, we can only finish third, which does mean Europa League football. I definitely don't want to be in that. But look, we've got a lot to discuss today, a lot to get through. I'm going to welcome some people in. I'm going to tell you absolutely everything you need to know, and then we're going to get into it hot and heavy. Big up Bobby K first in the building. Good to see you, my man. Big up you and the boys. We've got Mark with Dyer, Sanchez, and Davis in defence. I have a bad feeling about tonight. I think we all do. Seagal says Dyer, Langley, and Davies more like it. I'd like to look. Langley has to be in the middle, in my opinion. I agree with that. George Hill says, praying we go. Dyer, Langley, and Davies at the back. Davison takes years off my life watching the idiot try to predicting a Gil Messi goal. Push us through. I think you're absolutely right. I think we're all fed up with the schoolboy errors, my man. Wolves Finland is in with us. Good to see you. At Spurs, we have Champions League Day. They do or die. Big up, my man. Good to see you in the build. We've got Christian Van White. Tottenham, don't let me down. I think we're all wishing that, my man. Wembley once is good afternoon, all. Tonight is yet another opportunity for our squad to prove it has some backbone and dig deep to get a result in a hostile atmosphere. Or will we do as per usual and fold our tents? Look, we'll wait and see. Kickoff is at 8 p.m., my man. The time will tell. Jay says we need a good vibe from everyone. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Jay. Our Green 216 is that lovely badge beside his name. Says, afternoon, chaps. Come on, you Spurs. Dan Coy's another one with the lovely badge beside his name. Says, come on, Spurs, let's do this. Champions League knockout stages are calling. That they are, my man. Frank Les says, morning all. This is a game for calm heads. Yeah, well, we don't seem to have a lot of them, my man. So hopefully,
no chance then.
We've got 1 second. We've got Mark says, hopefully, we will see the real Sonny tonight. Look, we need him and Kane to step up. Mike Barrow says, is Big Dave going to slag off Ben Davies again repeatedly for no apparent reason? The real crap happens on the other side, Dave. No, look, I agree. I'll be honest. I think we have problems all right across that back line. I've been saying it for a number of times now. I've been saying it for a number of years. Look, like I said, I don't get joy slagging these guys off, but unfortunately, nearly every single game, they give me a reason to do it. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and fluff them up trying to give them confidence. You know, it's up to them to have it. They're paid by the club. So it's up to them to put the performances in. But look, if he plays well, I'll give credit where credit's due. If he doesn't, I have no problem calling him out for a bad performance. At the end of the day, it's a sacred jersey they have on and they represent us. So, but big up, Mike. And at the end of the day as well, my man, you know, feel free to put your comments in. Maybe convince me otherwise. Feel free, my man. Big up, Mike. Can you smell what the calf is brewing? Big up, Benji. Good to see you. We've got Joseph. Big up, all you guys. I'm so praying the players have not left their guts in England and actually turn up for a significant cup game for once. I am looking at the big players as well. 100%, my man. 100%. Mark New. Yeah, exactly. The big boys need to step up today. Big up, Mark New. Great to see you, brother. Up, We've got Foggy Foam. Conte is not a bottler. We can do it. Conte is not a bottler. We know that. Unfortunately, some of our squad. Ryan Tresting says, big up, Dave and Jack. Will there be a fan show tonight? Ryan, of course, my man. Look, I apologize about the no fan show yesterday. Unfortunately, the missus had to use my computer for work things last night. Jack was also busy. He had errands to run. So I will be doing the fan show. As soon as the watch along ends, give me about 15, 20 minutes and we'll get straight into a fan show. So we're not keeping you guys up late tonight. Amir's in the house. Let's get the job done tonight. Paro Miguel Escobardo, good to see you, my man, all the way from Lagos. We've got Pedro Mendes. He's in the house. We've also got Ray Porn, the chef. How's your nerves, David, mate? Mine are shredded with no Romero. Absolutely can't play Davison in such a huge game. I mean, look, if Davison Sanchez plays, I'm not going to have any confidence whatsoever. 0 tackles, 0 blocks the other day, and probably about 20 misplaced passes. I mean, what 57 minutes cameo from that guy the other day. Look, you know me. The more closer it gets to the game, the more delusion I get, and I'll always believe. And you know what? Sometimes I even believe more when their back is up against the wall. So hopefully the team can take my fighting spirit today. Really, two's in the house. We've got Paul Longworth as well. Great to see you. We've also got Martin Walton. Tonight, we just don't perform in these away games in Europe. That we don't. Claude Murphy says, big up you Spurs. All who expected Tottenham to be out would be presently surprised and quietly confident. I love that. We've got Mr. Sandoval in the house as well. We've got Golden Sun. Big yourself up, my man. Jetro Zulu. Take a few more and then we must get into it. Big up, guys. This is from Cooper. Attack early and take it to them. No chasing the game. Gil Messi was a surprise goal to take the win 2-1. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love that. Big up, Lisa, as well. The original version is back. Love it. Big up. Still you are.
Big up, Lisa.
Absolutely love that. Simon Cohen says, hi, boys. Need to qualify tonight. My 65th birthday tomorrow. Ooh. I need to be in a good mood. Well, look, my man. Happy early birthday, my man. And look, it's my birthday on Friday, actually. So a lot of November birthdays going on. Sav's birthday today, Simon Cohen's birthday tomorrow, and then mine on Friday. A big week in the Spurs community for birthdays. Beat yourself up, Simon.
Big up,
then
Simon.
We've got Loki Shamuka says, big up the Flat Caps from Colorado. Big yourself up, my man. Sebas Wolf is also in the house with us as well. Derek Smith, Calavius, Chris Nash, DJ Samuel as well. Big yourself up. Who else have we got here? John Stokes is in with us. Big up, Johnny boy. Good to see you, brother. John. Fox big on the hill as well. We've got Betty O'Heen Safaro. Tottenham do not lose this. Dunkel talk as well. Big up panel. Like Sean's energy. That's what we need. Absolutely love it. Adrian Shaka as well. We've got the School of Yoga. Leo Williamson as well. KPV. Sahire. Neil Blatt as well. Great to see everybody. But look, we're going to crack into it. Going to tell you absolutely everything you all need to know. Of course, we are playing at the Stade Velodrome. Kickoff is at 8 p.m. The referee is Simon Marciniak and Thomas Kwiatkowski. Hopefully, it's not Twatkowski by the end of the game, to be honest with you. And if you want to watch the game in the UK and Ireland, of course, it's on BT Sport. And in the USA, it is in Paramount Plus. And I believe Canada, it's on the Zone midweek as well. So that's everything you need to know. Of course, Richarlison is out with his calf. Kulu is still out. And Romero is out. And Papagayi and Eric Bali is a doubt for Marseille. I actually hope he plays. He's a liability, that guy. It'd be nice if he could play. He's there, Davidson Sanchez, I would say. But that is everything you guys absolutely need to know. We're going to crack into it. A lot to talk about. We're going to start off with Antonio Conte. This week, I think, is his year anniversary of being here. So we're going to start off with him. But before we get into it, guys, make sure you smash that like button. Let's get this like up to over 200 likes. I do you a deal. If it gets 200 likes, I'll put in a special hour with Harry Kane, and we will get the job done today. Also, feel free to smash the subscribe button, or at any time, feel free to get in your super chats with your thoughts, opinions, that highlight you, makes you a dominant member in the chat, and we will all have a massive say on what you have to say. Also, those who are members, sometimes you get the free super chats. Make sure you look for them. Feel free to put them in as well. But most of all, part of the deal is keep getting your comments in, and we will bring them up on screen and try and include them as much as we can going along. But a super chat just helps support everything we're doing here. But look, we're going to get straight into it. We're going to start hot and heavy. First of all, I'll just give everyone the permutations as well today. If Spurs win, we go through as group winners and we'll be seeded for the next round. If we draw, we will either finish second if there's a winner in the other group game between Sporting Lisbon and Frankfurt, or top of Sporting and Frankfurt draw. If Spurs lose, we will finish in third in the group and drop into the Europa League. The only guarantee, like I said, is we cannot finish fourth. But look, we'll start with you, Shawnee, and work our way back. I've got a load of questions and content for everybody. Sean, Conte took over as manager of Tottenham 1 year ago this week. What do you make of the job he has done? He took us from ninth and struggling in Europa Conference League and guided us to Champions League at Arsenal's expense. Has he rejuvenated the club like many thought he would do?
Yeah, when you reflect on... Oh, shit, I can hear myself. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
A bit of
that's
echo.
Better. I had an echo there for a second. Okay. Listen, guys. When he came in, look, we were in the doldrums, right? And so I'm not gonna pretend like Tottenham weren't a team that was better than where we were at the time. For him to have improved us is no surprise. For him to have taken us from where we were to finish fourth, I think punched above our weight. He beat expectations. And at the start of the season, look, putting aside the style of football, putting aside all the other variables around the things why people get frustrated with Conte, just look at the fact that the reality of the fact that when we looked at the Premier League fixture list and we looked at the idea of trying to get through the Champions League group, I think that this season hasn't quite hit the same heights in terms of expectations. But I think that Tottenham fans are guilty of raising their own expectations, sometimes to unreasonable levels. The Champions League group, look, if we go on and win tonight, we win the group. It's a job well done. But when we saw the group, we should have probably looked for that anyway. In terms of the league, I think that if we can get through to the World Cup or into January in third position, given the way the fixture list turned out, then I 100% think he's done a really good job and rejuvenated Tottenham and taking us to a place where our expectations can remain high, as unreasonable or not as they may be. With the squad that we've had, with the injuries that we've had, I think that he's been forced to do some of the things that he's done and to take some of those decisions that some would, equate to negative football or whatever else. But he's doing the best he can do with the tools that he has available, given the way that the cookie has crumbled for us. All in all, I think it's been a fantastic year of football, and I think that whilst I still see that we've improved our squad relative to last season, and yet I feel like maybe the level has dropped a little bit in the first couple of months of this season. I think overall you have to give him a solid 8.5 out of 10 in terms of his managerial duties, what he's done, what he's achieved, and where we currently sit. Right, everything could change very quickly in the next 2 to 3 weeks, right? But where we currently sit versus expectations, what he inherited to what we've got now, I think he's done a brilliant job. And I'll give him an 8.5 out of 10.
I think so as well. I think if you take yourself out of the immediate October and the bad run of results, I think if you take it over the course of the year, there has actually been improvements here. Has there been as many as Spurs fans would have liked? Look, I'm not so sure judging by the fan base, but for me, I think you can't deny from being ninth in the league, going out of Europa Conference League, to now being with a chance of getting out of going into the knockout stages of the Champions League and sitting third in the Premier League. I mean, for me, I'm not complaining too much. Just hopefully now there's something to build on going into next season. But Coover, there are question marks over the style of play because it is functional and workmanlike rather than easy on the eye, which is what most Spurs fans actually want to see. But it's got us back into the Champions League. Fans at the start were willing maybe to compromise if it delivers what we wanted, which is Champions League football and a trophy. It's already delivered one of the two. Is it good enough or effective enough to deliver trophies at Tottenham Hotspur?
No. Simple as that. Every time, as things stand, yes, we're getting good results in the league, good points tally, can't argue with that. Massive overachievement last season, getting us in the top four. I really didn't think we were going to do that. But now this season, we're starting to see the limitations on it. Whenever we play anybody that's got anything to them, it's not like a sort of straggler or a lesser type club. We're not winning. We're getting either soundly beaten or incapable of getting a more positive result out of it with some lucky draws into it. And if some of these had gone against us, you'd be looking at a league table very differently. We'd probably be down 8th, 7th, 8th, 9th, maybe. It hasn't gone that way, so fair enough. You get a bit of luck goes your way, some doesn't. But overall, I think we're seeing the chasm in class of what's needed in the player base to what we actually have. And as soon as a couple of key players are missing, we're all hitting the panic button.
But also, mate, the big players that we want to keep are also not kicking, not firing, right?
Yeah, it's all going together, isn't it? It's everything's not quite firing at the moment. So in some respects, you could say brilliant from Conte to get us into the position we are in at the moment. But as Sean said, a couple of weeks down the line, that can all look very different.
I want to go back to Shawnee now in a second, but Kuva, as well with what I asked Shawnee, has he maybe rejuvenated the club in the way you expected him to when he came in here? Because we have to remember, before he got appointed, every single fan wanted this guy brought in here. They said it would show ambition.
Long process, I think. We're seeing signs of it. We're seeing some of the players that we, as fans, have been pointing the finger at and saying they're just not pulling their weight, not good enough. Some of them have been going out the door. Others we haven't really got rid of yet. They're going to be coming back to us unless some miracle happens and somebody wants to buy them. But we have brought in some good players as well. I think Bentancur's really taking off now. He's impressing me more and more with every game he plays. Really turning into that sort of dominant midfield force we need. We will see on the big games like tonight, in fact, how well he's going to maintain that. Because when it has been the likes of going to Old Trafford, it wasn't really there. Nobody turned up. This tonight for me will be one of the big tests. If he can dominate that midfield, get us going again, perhaps he's ready to step up to be that long-term solution to the midfield. It's just everything I see stacked against us getting a positive result tonight. Unless it's the draw. But going there expecting to win, I think's madness. It's possible, but it's going to be hostile. It's going to be very much up against it.
We're going to get into that because they did
yeah,
play some very
yeah.
tactics last night there.
It was,
fans.
wasn't it?
Everyone
Very
around
dodgy.
Marseille seems to be ramping up the hostility and the pressure, but we'll get into that shortly, my man. So we will. But yeah, look, I agree with you. Look, Spurs have to turn up tonight. Is the style of play good enough to deliver trophies? I think the better players you bring in here, I think the better you'll see the system work, if I'm being honest. But Sean, just to maybe throw it back to you as well, my man. I mean, you're one that has been vocal enough on the style of play. You haven't been too happy with it over the last while. I mean, do you think it's good enough and effective enough to be able to deliver us trophies, or do you think Conte should be doing better with the players he has at his disposal in terms of style of play?
I think that the team, like I've also coupled that particular opinion of mine with and also very frequent recognition that injuries have screwed us this year. We've had like 13 of the top, 17 players in our squad. 13 of them have had injuries at some point or another, right? Or carrying knocks or whatever else. So, it's something to consider. Everyone always says for other fan bases, injuries are, everyone, faces injuries. I don't think that there's any team this season or in any season that I can remember that have had so many injuries, so many knocks to so many key or core players to a team so early in a season. So I'm going to take that, remember that when I also say I do think that Tottenham are capable of playing better. When Tottenham go 2-0 down against Bournemouth, I don't care which 11 you pick from Tottenham. We have a better 11 than Bournemouth's starting 11. When Tottenham play weak against Everton's first 11 in the first half, when Tottenham play poorly against Marseille in the first game, against Frankfurt, against Sporting, like we have a better team that is capable of so much more. And I do think that when Harry Kane says things like, it takes us to go 1-0 down to take the handbrake off, or I'm paraphrasing, but things like that. I think that there's a message in there. He's between the lines, what he's saying is that they are restricted a little bit by the tactics, and that the tactics to preserve energy or whatever it is, that only works if you actually protect your lead, if you protect the scoreline and you go in 0-0 at halftime. Thinking back to Mourinho days, Mourinho ball, we'd go and score. We'd go 1-0 up in the 10th minute, and then we'd spend the next 80 plus injury time trying to defend it, and we'd inevitably concede in the 80th minute, right? We do it the other way around under Conte ball a lot of the time, where we're trying to protect a 0-0 to halftime and then go on and then kick into gear in the second half. That tactic, if that is a tactic, which I'm not sure it is, but if it's deliberate, it only works if you actually protect your backline. And for me, the costs outweigh the benefits when you go into halftime 1-0 or 2-0 down, which we found. And I think that there is a little bit there that is deliberate from Conte, and I'm not a fan of it. I think that Tottenham Hotspur the players could be given the green light to play free-flowing football of a different variety. Stick to the same 3-4-3 or the 3-5-2. I understand that, not having Kulu. I understand that, having injuries to Romero or Sonny and Kane not really clicking this year. I understand that there's factors outside of Conte's control. I get that. But still, I think that the team that we put on the pitch is better than most of the teams that we play against. And yet we play looking like a team that is scared of other teams that are weaker than us on a team sheet. And so for me, I do hold Conte somewhat accountable for the style of football that we played this season. We didn't do that last season. In the second half of last season, we went after teams. We played really good football in the 3-4-3, and we had a really good, situations. And I'm ranting here, but if my point is that whilst I acknowledge that there's injuries and I acknowledge that there's circumstances that require certain tactical shifts, I do think that Conte does, I guess, pull the reins back a little bit, and doesn't let these horses run wild as much as he could. And if he did, I think we might be able to see better, more attractive, and still successful football.
Interesting. Look, I do get what you're saying. I think, look, there's definitely an element to what you're saying, but I also think maybe Harry Kane's message was digged out at certain individuals as well. When I looked at the entirety of the message, he did say we can't keep going down before we get going, this, that, and the other. But look, for me, I just think it's a drop-off all around this season that makes it look bad and makes it look worse than what it is, because it's more or less the same tactics, the same style we played last season, but everyone was on their game, especially from February onwards last season, whereas this season, they're very, very slow out the traps. But Jacko, I mean, Conte is forced to watch from the stands tonight. Do you think he might get an idea of why fans are frustrated, seeing it from their point of view? And could he use this as an opportunity to maybe make tweaks to what he's trying to do at times?
Perhaps so. Seeing it from I don't know, he could be seeing it from a director's box or seeing it from a nice suite of some sort that the Stade Velodrome has to offer. But you're right, Dave. Maybe he could be sort of getting it from a different sort of perspective, a withdrawn perspective, where he can't really manipulate or scream at his players in sort of earshot that he likes to. I think even some people, when kind of watching Conte, or analysts have kind of said it's almost like he's directing his chess pieces. Like when kind of the game is going on, he's constantly kind of swaying them and moving them with his hands and everything, pointing everywhere. He pretty much just doesn't stop. A lot of managers like to kind of go over to the bench, maybe kind of look at the tactics board, perhaps even just get a drink of water. I mean, the guy just pretty much just stands there from minute 1 through 90. And so he could get a different perspective here this time. What I would say, though, Dave, is just me personally, is that I am kind of a glutton for pain, and I do even sometimes do enjoy a bit of kind of the nasty defensive football from time. I would probably be one of those Atletico Madrid kind of nutcases in the crowd, just watching the most disgusting football from Simeone, only kind of really just really admiring Simeone, less alone the football. But I do kind of agree with that question and how you're kind of phrasing it, perhaps where he's getting this sort of position where he can't really scream at his players or talk to his players even. He just has to kind of sit there and watch it, almost kind of like anybody else does. Maybe he might have to make some tweaks to it. Maybe he does get to look at a system a bit differently, certainly. But if it were me in the crowd, Dave, I think honestly I'd just be as like blood and passionate as I think the next kind of crazy person next to me probably.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think he's sitting beside his brother tonight, who is he has some sort of role there, Gianluca Conte. So
hopefully the Cronenbergs are flowing through him that day and he just gets to have a good time.
It'd be great to get an image of the two of them and see if they're equally as crazy. But Jack, if we do suffer an early exit from the Champions League in the hands of a manager which is regarded as a serial winner, should it be viewed as a failure?
For Conte, this is the funny thing, Dave, is that I feel like it is kind of a scary match made in heaven. It's actually probably the term as match made in hell when it comes to the sort of players and that we have kind of the history of Spurs away from home in Europe. Conte doesn't have a great, European record, as we do know. He doesn't really have the best of sort of Champions League displays. He has kind of bottled it, you could say, before in the past. And we know kind of Spurs have done the same. So it wasn't exactly the greatest of combinations, him being met with maybe a squad that maybe a lot of us are agreeing upon maybe isn't the best sort of squad yet for Antonio Conte to really get the most out of. But also, even when he has had, you would say, good squads available to him in the past in Inter, he's found a way to kind of slip up. It isn't really his forte yet, I would say, the Champions League. He's just gotten unlucky in the past, and he's never really made it as convincing as maybe other managers have. You could say he does seem to be more of a league specialist. I feel like he'll learn, and I feel like he will get better with maybe those group stages in the Champions League. But yeah, his record isn't exactly the greatest, and we know Spurs is a record away from home in Europe isn't exactly the greatest. So I think it is kind of a bad match, you could say, for the two of them. So I don't think it really is any reflection on Conte. I think it's just a bad match for the two of them. I think if he was met with a really brilliant squad, and if he really had everything that was available to him, and he slipped up like this in some manner or form, I think then you could really start to point the fingers. But kind of like Martin Walton said, I think, Dave, I kind of agree with that. If he does get to the round of 16 with these injuries and with this sort of squad available to him, I actually would see that as one of his better achievements. I think that's quite true, actually.
That's a good spin on it, Jack. I absolutely love that. Look, hopefully we are getting out of the group. But Kuva, Jack did say about Antonio Conte's European record. Despite all his domestic success, Conte does have a worrying record in Europe. He's gone out at the group stage in 3 of his last 5 campaigns. If we went out tonight, does it then raise more serious doubts over Conte's long-term future? And is that probably why the club have tried to get ahead of it by putting the news out there that they are trying to offer him a new contract and they are going to back him in January?
I don't think the European results are going to matter in the slightest. This season for me with Conte, it's all about cementing that top 4 place because the competition is really heating up now. Newcastle are actually ahead of schedule to what I thought they'd be, and looking like serious top 4 contenders, if not even title challengers on the outside. Perhaps that is a little bit of a push, but they're looking very competent indeed. We need Conte to make sure we do cement our place there, because this could be our last chance for quite a while. Otherwise, if we don't take this opportunity and then build on it, it's bye-bye to a missed opportunity. The cups are just not important in that consideration this season. I don't believe I'll be saying this, but that's what I see as the plan with Conte and the club for this season. If we're pursuing cups and end up in 5th place, it's going to be a disaster in some ways, because that Champions League money does talk at the end of the day. It does attract players, and we need the players in to rebuild this team. If we're going to handicap ourselves by dropping out that, chasing silverware that we're not going to get anyway, meaning the Champions League, bad overall move. It might be fun on the ride if we put away a couple of teams. Even if we got to the semi-final or something, you'd say great run, but as it stretched the team too far in the league, does our league form suffer in the meantime? It's a very delicate balancing situation.
Well, I think under Pochettino it showed that, didn't it, Kuva? If you remember, our league form when we were on that run to Champions League was absolutely abysmal. Yeah,
absolutely. So what's the priorities for the season? I don't think we're good enough to win the Champions League. No, are we good enough for top 4? You'd have to say we've got to be in the mix, haven't we? The results are proving that, even when we're not playing particularly well. We're competent at picking up points.
Kuba, can I ask you a question though, mate? I massively take what you. Okay, then.
No questions at the time. Not taking questions at this time.
At earlier on in the season, whether it was on on these shows, my show, or I'm seeing you, like a lot of people. I always ask the question, right? Would you rather finish 4th and no trophies? Or I made it more extreme. Would you rather finish 2nd and get close in every competition but not win any trophy, or would you rather finish, 7th or 8th and win a Carabao Cup? And everybody that was on the kind of we need a trophies are everything bandwagon, which I get. I'm not criticizing the argument at all. I understand it. They would say they'd rather get the cup to get the monkey off our back, all that stuff, right? But now you're saying that you think focusing on the cups is a bad idea.
Oh, so, with the plan of having plan of having Conte at the club, yeah, sure. For me, I'll take a trophy every time.
Oh, okay. Right.
But if we're going with Conte, we've got to do his plan, which is
league stuff.
It's the league.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, of course. Just looking to clarify to see whether you change your mind or whether. Yeah, fair enough.
No, I'm not flip-flopping, mate.
Kuba never changes his mind.
It's not flip-flop. It's called flexibility of thought. You're allowed to.
Yeah. Last time I was at the beach, I was wearing some flexibility of thought on my feet.
Quality. That was a good one. I enjoyed that. I just got 1 or 2 more questions on Conte, and then we've got some super chats building, which we're going to get into. Just give me 1 minute. I want to get out of the Conte stuff and then start getting into maybe stuff affecting tonight's game. But where am I? Shawnee, to you, my man. Under UEFA rules, Conte was not obligated to conduct pre-match media duties for Monday's press conference, which ended up being conducted by assistant manager who will be in charge tonight, Christian Stellini, along with Zinedine Salzburg. Conte could have actually conducted the press conference despite being banned, but decided not to. Is this Conte giving the fingers to UEFA?
I mean, I don't know. That's a really good question. I haven't thought about it, mate, to be honest. Is he? I feel like...
Don't forget the VAR goal. He was sent off. He was going mad about that. He wanted the club to appeal it, this, that, and the other.
I still don't understand exactly what he did wrong. Like, as far as I'm aware, he said that all he did was run on the pitch alongside 30 other members of Tottenham staff, right? Yeah. And then he got given the red card. If that's the truth, then I don't understand why we didn't appeal it, unless it is a straight sending off for running on the pitch. But I'll be honest, man, I haven't thought about it. Like, to me, is he doing that? If he could have spoken and decided not to, it's probably some level of like gamesmanship. It probably is, mate. Yeah, it probably is. I don't mind it. I mean, to be honest, I haven't even seen the press conference. I have no idea what Stellini even said to me. I'm hoping you guys can bring me up to speed.
I saw it.
Yeah. Okay.
He didn't really say a whole lot, actually, to be fair. He kind of did really avoid like a lot of the questions. But what I would say, Dave, is that Conte may be choosing to avoid it altogether, probably just because he just doesn't enjoy them himself. I mean, how many does he have to do with them? I mean, they're probably becoming quite taxing, I think, towards a certain stage, especially with how many he's had to do this month. I mean, how many games have we had alone this month? And I think he's probably just thinking as a great opportunity just to not have to deal with the Emerson versus Doherty questions any longer, not have to deal with Sanchez coming into the team questions, Daniel Levy, etc. questions. I think he's just gets a time to just sort of relax. And I don't think it's really, if he's not obligated, he certainly doesn't need to. And also, he doesn't exactly have to give away a whole lot by doing. He doesn't really. I don't know if this is the right word, but I think we know what I mean. He doesn't incriminate himself like in any way, like by going on and saying something maybe about the ownership or saying something either about the squad or digging on Jed Spence again, whatever it may be. Like I think with Stellini, the questions were I think a lot more boring. The questions were a lot more just kind of about what do you make of Igor Tudor and things like that. And it was just, a bit uneventful. So I think it was actually quite tactful by him. What we did learn, though, and I didn't get to see all of it, but we learned that Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Dave, speaks a bit of Francois or Francais. And in fact, that probably qualifies him to be able to take Dyer's position in the back line and be that leader, Dave, because then he's now the man of languages, as we know. So pretty much just rules out Eric Dyer altogether, I would say, for the captainship now that you could see that
that's why he's got the
speaks
first name
multiple languages. But Dave, I don't think it's Salzburg anymore. I think it's Le Salzburg.
Zinedine, the translator, I think, Jack, qualifies him. No, but that's why he's got the name Zinedine. He's got a bit of French in him. Absolutely love that. But look, guys, the last talking point I really have on Conte, and we can all really kind of come in and share our thoughts on this, is Conte is not on the touchline tonight. He is banned from the dugout and the dressing room and communicating directly with the players or technical staff. Now, Stellini is in charge. Stellini has actually previous experience of stepping in for Conte, as Conte was banned in January 2021 for 2 matches while in charge of Inter Milan. Stellini oversaw 2 games, and it was Benevento and Fiorentina. He won both with the side scoring 6 goals and conceding none. I reckon Antonio Conte probably will communicate via his brother Gianluca. But do you guys think that the players will miss Conte's passion, instructions, and his presence from the sideline today?
Are you asking?
And he is.
I didn't hear the question. Dave. Sorry, was the question, mate? Say it again.
I'm kind of miles away as well. I was looking at
so it's just about basically
this has happened before.
I just went, boys. Come on now.
This has happened before when Dave's asked a question. The 3 of us were all miles away. Sorry, Dave. Say it again.
No, so basically what I'm saying is Conte is not allowed in the dugout today. He's not allowed in the dressing room whatsoever. Not allowed to communicate directly with the players.
Is it going to affect us?
Do you think it's going to affect us not having his presence on the sideline?
Yeah, 100%. I spoke about this earlier on my Tottenham walk. I actually was thinking about it in real time as I was talking, and I was like, no, you know what? It's not going to affect us as much as it would a manager that's more proactive, like a Graham Potter or someone like that can visualize that these things aren't working and then change plans immediately. Go, flip things up in the first half. That's not going to happen with Conte. And then I was like, well, he's probably spoken to Stellini, and he's probably got like scenarios. He's probably like written out like if you are like, he's got like 19 fucking examination review, like those yellow cards you used to write down your notes on. And he's probably like, in option A, we are 1-0 up at this time, and this is the scenario of the game. Then do this. Option B, do this. Option C, do that. Like scenario-based gameplay strategies that Stellini doesn't have to think for himself. But even if all of that is taken care of to the absolute T, where every possible scenario, every outcome, the midfielder getting overrun or they're not, or there's a problem on the right-hand side or whatever, this is what you do. Even if every single scenario is taken care of, the one thing that Conte can't do is speak to them at halftime and give them the rollicking and give them the rocket up their ass, right? And I don't know whether or not the reason why Tottenham come out and play better in the second half than they do in the first half is because, like we've all spoken about, that is by design, that it's like sit back, like I said earlier, and whether the benefits outweigh the costs of that one or not, or whether it takes a Conte-sized and shaped ass-kicking that he gives to Matt Doherty at halftime, like he did against whoever it was. We speak about this before, right? Like whether or not it takes that kind of thing. And if it's any of the latter, if Conte is the sort of manager that at halftime goes in and absolutely slams and destroys players and says, this is not good enough from you, this is what you've got to do this, do that. If any of that is true, then that's really going to affect us. Massively going to affect us. I don't know what Stellini. I haven't even heard him speak. Jack, you would know whether he speaks good English or not.
Than Conte's. His English is
worse than Conte's, right?
But he definitely understands English very well, and clearly, it's just like the questions weren't nearly as like deep,
complicated,
or like seated. You could even say like to make him go off on one as they usually are. So it really was more. The only thing I saw was him being kind of asked about Igor Tudor, about Marseille. Those were kind of the ones of any sort of importance, and of course he confirmed as well Kulusevski, Richarlison, and Romero out. But a lot of it was really just questions actually from the French journalists, from what I saw.
Well, Jack, Joe Phillips says here, Mourinho alluded to the players needing direction on where to be certain times, almost telling them from the side. And you can see that with Antonio Conte. Anyone that watches him, I heard a lot of pundits say he is so animated on the sideline, constantly screaming and shouting and in the players' ears. Do you think they're actually going to miss that today? And if they do, I'm going to go absolutely mad, to be honest with you. It's just weak and cowardly.
Yeah, it is weak. But I alluded to this earlier, Dave, when you asked me about the question of Conte being able to look at his own players from a different perspective, from a different seat in the house, so to say. But the opposite, or the negative of that, is that Conte's not there to direct his players and orchestrate his players in the way that he normally does. And I'm going to be curious to see how the players react to that. I bet it's almost going to be for them, Dave, like kind of like playing when there were no fans in the stadium, in the COVID era. It's just going to be very spooky for them. Probably not going to see Conte on the sidelines, because like we said, it's not like he's a very quiet or methodical manager that pretty much just wears an fitted suit like Ten Hag on the sidelines. He's pretty much screaming at his players nonstop. He's going up and down the touchline. If they even score a goal, he might even run down the touchline to his players. You never know. I think it's going to be a huge.
Imagine that, Jack. Imagine if we score the winner and Stellini runs on the fucking pitch, sliding on his knees, getting his suit.
He's a tracksuit manager, so he absolutely should. He absolutely
Conte and his brothers. Conte and his brother come down like the stepbrothers and just start sliding around. I'd love it.
I was going to say the only thing I got from Stellini's interview too is Stellini sometimes had an occasional fourth wall break, kind of like in the camera, where he was like, it was weird, where like it was either one of the reporters asking him the question, must have been like right next to the camera, where he's pretty much just staring like right through your soul. It felt like at one stage when he was answering the questions. It was brilliant.
Apparently Stellini's got a 100% record when he's Inter Milan. Yeah. When he stepped in and had to be managerial, he's got a 100% over there. So we're in good hands, boys. We're in good hands, apparently.
I would say Igor Tudor is also a bit of a tracksuit manager, I think, by the looks of it. So it could be the battle of the tracksuits tonight as well, and also the battle of the bald. Very talented Italian, managers. Who knows, Sean? It could be very, very interesting. But Dave, I think it is going to be a huge miss, because those players have relied on him to be in their ear constantly. They've relied on him to pretty much just be their guiding man. And he honestly probably relies on that himself, in order to get results and whatnot. It's how he's always done it. He hasn't just done it to Spurs. He did it to his Inter Milan players. It's sort of part of his whole kind of ethos of how he manages his team. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Spurs players respond to that. Absolutely.
No, it will. And Kuva, any final thoughts on what we're talking about here with Antonio Conte? Because after this, we're moving on to the super chats, and then I got more important things to discuss.
There's a few interesting things to bring up. We'll get a good idea now how much Conte affects the play when he's shouting directions at the side of the pitch, because the impression has been so far that players hear him, but they don't pay any attention. They just carry on doing what they're doing, which is why he's getting so absolutely frustrated. But for me, him not being able to give a halftime talk, as already mentioned, I think that's a big negative for us because look at the halftime responses we've had in recent weeks.
Stellini's a couple of the hairdryer if needed.
What's the name of that big bald fella that's I think he's the first team coach or something?
The Hitman.
The Hitman. He looks like Brad Friedel.
All you need is him with a mobile phone with Conte's picture on it, and then when at halftime when they're sitting down, he just leans into each player, intimidate them, and just put up Conte's picture there. You don't need a halftime team talk then.
Do you know what? I wonder will we see any antics, because I remember I was listening to Joe Cole talk before, and Jose Mourinho is in the similar situation as Chelsea manager, and he actually got snuck in like a laundry bin, and you wait for running around the stadium trying to find him, and they couldn't find him anywhere. And then he delivers what he needs to deliver, and then he's wheeled out again. Could we see Conte do any tactics like that today?
I was going to say, Dave, this is a week where the Kitman's going to have to be on top form this week if they're going to be.
You see him lifting up the bag out the bus and it drops. You know, Conte's in there.
It's not even that, Dave. It's just here's what I would say. Conte, he's a slightly small man. You know, he's a bit frail. He's slightly small. He's kind of Brian Hill size. As much as he doesn't like the Brian Hill size players, he is a bit Brian Hill sized himself. He could probably fit into a laundry hamper, and if you put enough of those kits in there, the nice Nike kits as well, Dave, they're very heavy weighted, and just put a few towels in there on top of it, and I think you could fit him in nice and easily, and you'd probably be able to do it swiftly. It's not like you're putting in, you know, a 6'3", 6'4" manager, you know, in there like Fat Frank.
How tall is?
It's not like you're sneaking Fat Frank in, Dave. You're seeking in Jose or Conte. They're not very big men. I think you can do it nice and tidy. Kitman though has to not be shaking. He can't look nervous or anything. Got to look, you know, his normal self.
Get the big bald guy to carry it, like Coover said. He looks like he's got some.
Make him get him to wear a papoose or whatever it's called. You know, the baby carrier.
Oh, he's adorable, isn't he? And you just see Conte growling at him.
Little bonnet over his head, and you know.
Yeah. Amazing.
Love that. But look, there's everything. We've good discussion on Conte actually. This week being his first year anniversary at Tottenham. Exciting times. But look, we've got some super chats. We're going to get into them, and then I want to talk a bit more about, get into more detail in tonight's game. But honestly, all day now, I'm going to have a picture of that big ball guy wearing papooses or whatever Kuva calls them. Big Conte sitting in it. Absolutely brilliant. Jack Joseph says, big up you guys every time. If the big players turn up instead of going through the motions, which they do in these cup fixtures, we will win this game. We have better quality, especially in attack. Come on, you Spurs. Love that from Joseph.
It could be huge, Joseph. Massive. I mean, like we said before, it's almost a Spurs sort of esque final where we've put ourselves in this situation where it's the hardest possible game ever. And all we have to do is just not lose. But when it's even in that sort of situation where all you have to do is not lose, you just feel like you're even put under even more pressure here. And Marseille, I'm pretty sure as well, have to win. So it just really does put us under incredible pressure, Joseph. But if Spurs somehow come out of this alive, I think it speaks to a lot of the backbone. We kind of can escape sort of the Spursiness and, you know, that sort of word, and we don't have to talk about the mentality. We don't have to talk about the continued sort of usual suspects and whatnot. Some of the talking points that we're probably grown a bit sick of, you know, you and I, Joseph, of having to talk about the mentality of the players and whatnot. And if they get out of this, regardless of putting themselves in this position, they did put themselves in this position. If they get themselves out of it, I think it would speak to some real strength and some real backbone that, of course, Conte and the squad are trying to develop right now. It doesn't happen overnight either, of course.
Yeah, no, 100%. Big up, Joseph. And look, you know, I agree with you. We do have better quality players, and especially the attacking area. But look, I'm going to get onto it later. Kane has only scored one so far in the Champions League. Sonny's on a bit of a goal drought since he scored at Frankfurt. So we really need them to step up today, Joseph. But big yourself up, brother, and really appreciate support. Let's get the job done tonight, Joseph, my man. He's absolutely, do you know what? He's always tweeting and everything. I love Joseph. Big yourself up, brother.
Great
really
guy.
Appreciate it. Kuva. Oh, actually, he really enjoyed the show we done on Savage on Sunday night as well. He wants it out every week. So big up, Joseph, my man. Sebas Wolf 28 says, and this will give this one to you, Kuva, because you were the first one to say it couldn't deliver, or I think it was you that said it won't deliver trophies. This system can win trophies with the right players, not with Dyer, Sanchez, Davies, and Royale, etc.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Any system is a good system if you've got good players. No problem. Well, unless it's a lunacy sort of system, like 11 right wingers might not be very good.
Or Stevie G.
Although probably the Conservatives are killed for that at the moment on their cabinet. Yeah, it's just always.
I just got that. It was funny.
Cheers, mate. That's right. we just forget about what David's talking about, don't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely. This thing with the Conte and about the football, which it goes back to that the style of play. It's irrelevant. Pick any style of play. If your players simply are not good enough, you're not going to be winning. That's all there is to it. So if we're sticking with Conte, give him the players. If we're not sticking with Conte, or he walks out in the summer, next man in, give him the players. It's just about getting those players in. We've had substandard in this squad for many, many years now.
Couldn't agree. Absolutely couldn't agree more. I mean, you and Sebas Wolf must have bought my autobiography today, with all the things you're saying here about these guys in the back line. I completely agree with you. Doesn't matter what style of play you want, whether you want to do long ball, whether you want to play out from the back, does not matter. With these guys, we're always capable of seeing what we're seeing over the last while, the ups and the downs, one half good, one half shit, results up here, down here. I mean, we're always capable of it, Sebas. Big yourself up, brother, and really appreciate support. Sebas, hopefully we're sitting here after the game. Me, you, Shawnee, Jacko, all sitting here celebrating being in the knockout rounds of the Champions League. Big yourself up, Sebas.
Also, Sebas, you got to remember to message Brian Hill, Dave. Sebas, Sebas, follow him on Instagram. He's working out, getting in the boxing gym as well. So hopefully we get Brian Hill maybe to hang out with Sebas for a good few weeks over this World Cup break. And then he comes back looking like Goretzka, maybe. So Sebas, maybe message Brian Hill, see if you can have him over for a nice internship or something.
You can train him, my man. You can train him. Big up, Sebas. Sean Moondog says we are on for a great win tonight. He can feel it.
Mate, I'm glad you brought that up, because I am currently, I don't know if you can see the difference when I'm looking at you right now versus right now with the light on my screen, but I'm currently looking at Betfair. And I am making some seriously wild and random bets. And Moondog, I'm gonna message you on WhatsApp in a minute, mate, and share some of those things with you. I think
none of them involve moon boots, though. Don't get him back into it, Sean. Like I said,
they do not involve moon boots, but I actually think that Lucas Moura is gonna turn up tonight. I've got the bet. What's the bet I've got on? I've got 2-1.
Second time I heard you say that today. You're getting the itchy feeling for him, Sean.
No, I do, mate. I really do. Let me start it again. I've got 2-1 Tottenham to win, and Lucas Moura to score the winner. And I think you get 65-1 on it. Where is he? Lucas Moura. Here he is.
It's a good night for to make money on Tottenham, I think, if you were a betting man.
If he scores the winner, yeah, you get 67-1. So a little tenner on that, 670 quid. For me, I think I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now.
Here's your Curve Screen TV to review VAR decisions for the watch.
I wouldn't even like to bet on him starting.
No, he's going to play. He's going to. I think we're going to do 3-4-3. And if he doesn't start, he'll still be on the pitch at some point in the game, I think.
I suppose if we're all being pessimistic about the result tonight, then you need your miracle specialist, and that is Lucas Moura.
Yeah, it's been about 5 years since he last put in a good performance, so he's overdue one. He's overdue one.
He does love these nights. That's true. That's very true. Big up, Moondog.
Footballing equivalent of Halley's Comet, isn't he?
Moondog also says, big up, lads. Great panel. I need a flat cap. I mean, everybody needs a flat cap, to be honest with you. What I'd love to see is one day everyone assemble or make a search for the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, everyone wearing flat caps, and the one person that's not wearing it fills the odd one out. That'd be absolutely ideal. But big up, Moondog. Really appreciate your support, my man. But get a flat cap and come to the flat cap cult, brother. Big yourself up.
If the players do the same with the flat caps, they'll all do it well, and then Emerson will turn up wearing a cap flap.
He'll be wearing it backwards or something like that. You're not well, Kuva. You're not well. Foggy Fun with the super sticker, Jacko.
It's just it's pointing number one into the sky. A foggy foam is here, Dave, and I guess perhaps because we're number one in the group, and we probably shouldn't mess up this position, Foggy. But I bet he appreciates the pre-match build-ups, and I'm finding myself to be a bit more confident, Foggy. I think you were with us in the very beginning of the show. Like I said, I was a bundle of nerves, starting to feel a bit more confident, and all I've been drinking is water as well. So really is the magical powers of Davo here. So Foggy, really appreciate it, my man.
Big up Foggy form. Really appreciate it, my man. Let's get the win. Hopefully we get it done tonight. Again, another one who sits with us for the watch alongs. Hopefully we'll all be sitting there in jubilation after the game, my man. And Faz Rafar says, let's not attack Conte if we lose. Just support. Come on, you Spurs. Faz, couldn't agree more in my opinion. But look, it's the way the media works. It's about time Jamie O'Hara's started talking about the agenda against Tottenham and Antonio Conte. Me and Philip Brady have been saying it for quite some time now. People inside the media are starting to see it and talk out about it. But I agree. Look, we can't throw our toys out the pram when it comes to Conte. Can't be behind him 1 week and then not behind him the next week because the results doesn't suit what we want. My man, big yourself up. Big up Faz Rafar. Appreciate the support. But look, guys, we're going to get into a bit about the game tonight. So the Stade Velodrome will be partially closed for the visit of Tottenham Hotspur tonight. Marseille were sanctioned with the closure of the Virage Nord, which actually houses many of the club's ultra fan base. And they have that closure due to violent incidents with Eintracht Frankfurt fans in September. But I would say they'll probably get tickets elsewhere. But we'll start with you on this, Shawnee. I think everyone's going to want to come in and have a say on this. And the Velodrome is a notoriously hostile environment, which would likely spur Marseille on, as their fans held very prolonged firework displays outside of our hotel last night, with the first taking place at 1:30 a.m. And this is how dedicated they are. Others took the 4:30 a.m. shift as well. Wow. And the disturbance was loud enough to awaken our players. So Marseille fans have definitely played their part in helping the former European champions gain an upper hand. Marseille coach Igor Tudor also described this match as match of the year. Basically, they have ramped up the hostilities under pressure, knowing we have completely wilted under hostile atmospheres and pressure in Europe the last 2 years. The question is, guys, can we handle the hostilities and the pressure tonight, considering we have not won an away game from home in Europe in our last 7 away games against lesser opposition? 3-0 to Zagreb, 1-0 to Paços de Ferreira, 2-2 to at Rennes, 1-0 away to Vitesse, loss, 2-1 loss to NS Mora away, 2-0 to Sporting away, and 0-0 with Frankfurt away. Yeah,
look, for me, I didn't know about the firework thing. I mean, that's insane.
Oh, yeah,
40-30 Sean taking shifts. I mean, they have rules and everything. That's
the organisation. That is organised crime. That is real.
I mean, Sean, the fireworks are basically landing on top of the hotel, from what I can see. Like, from what looks to be the hotel, I would imagine the hotel was right on that riverbank, because they were being shot right over this bridge, and like it looks like the dissipating fireworks were just landing right on top as well of the.
I saw videos of like 4 guys coming up in all black with black face masks and stuff doing paintball. I don't know who they were aiming it at, but they were shooting it down into like I don't know whether it was guests of the hotel. But listen, whatever happens, look, it's intimidating. It's intimidation ad nauseum for me. Look, it doesn't matter what Conte says or Stellini says or anybody else. It comes down to the players, and you have to look at the players and think, well, who's going to be able to handle that? Who's got the experience? And also, who do we look at and think that crumble and look nervous in circumstances when there's none of that shit happening? And for me, you come out with a certain couple of players that should play versus those that shouldn't. Perisic needs to play ahead of Sessegnon, because if anyone is a little like a bit of a deer caught in the headlights at times, it's Sessegnon. On the right-hand side, and obviously Perisic has got the Champions League experience. He's a Croatian guy. Croats are usually very like strong-willed, strong-minded, used to that kind of stuff. So I want to see Perisic on the left. On the right-hand side, I probably would rather see Emerson than Doherty, because we've spoken about this so many times on watch-alongs on this channel. Doherty sometimes looks like he's terrified. He doesn't know whether to go forward or step back. And usually when he goes forward, he should be back. And when he is forward, he should be back. For me, listen, it's like on the right hand side, it's a pick your poison. Neither of them really, excite me or offer me much confidence. But I think that Emerson, Brazilian lad, probably used to fireworks, probably used to that kind of samba stuff. Maybe he's a better fit for that kind of pressure cooker than Doherty is. And at the back, I probably would rather see Eric Dyer play on the right hand side than Sanchez. If that means that you have to put Longley in the middle, so be it. Because I think that Dyer, for all of his faults, I don't think he necessarily feels the fear. And I think sometimes he's just guilty of making bad mistakes, but I don't think they come down to kind of a fearful nature. Whereas Sanchez, sometimes you look at him and the pressure gets a little bit too much for him and he starts to, crumble under the heat and the intensity of the occasion. So for me, look, whatever happens outside the stadium happens outside the stadium. I worry about the fans, the Tottenham fans that are traveling. Good luck to them. Stay safe, stay out of trouble. Keep your head down, etc. Go and enjoy the game, and hopefully you will return, safe and healthy. But for the players on the pitch, when the game starts, you have to just get on with it. But I think that we do have to look at the environment and think who's going to handle it more than others. And for me, I think that there's certain positions that you go, okay, this is easy one. For me, it's a no-brainer. Perisic on the left, probably Emerson on the right, and I think you have to put Dyer in there as well.
I have heard that Emerson will not be playing today, or Sanchez. They're not in the starting lineup, so I've heard, but we'll wait and see how true that is. But some are even saying, why not set the fireworks off in the first half of the game? It might actually wake us up, considering we tend to sleep a lot in the first half. But, look, I would love Spurs fans to get to that point where a big team travels to Tottenham from Europe. We all take turns outside the hotel, lighting off fireworks, singing a bit of karaoke. I'd love us to get to that. I mean, look, as much as I don't like them doing it to our players, I actually commend them for the dedication to the shithousery, to be honest with you. There's a rota you have to abide by for work, but there are also seasons you have to abide by to be a Marseille fan. It's absolutely brilliant. But Kuva, do you trust us to stand up to this atmosphere tonight? Because we've got to remember them Ben Davies quotes after the Vitesse game where he blamed the pitch, same pitch for both teams, blamed the atmosphere, same atmosphere for both teams. Is there a worry if Davies does come in tonight that we know from experience some of these players against lower-ranked European teams, they can't stand up to the pressure?
For me, it's kind of the reverse what we do to teams when they come to our place. Last season, North London Derby, Arsenal game, they lost because of the occasion. They even started off playing better football than we were doing in the first 20 minutes. But we got to them. It was that hostile atmosphere really shook them, and it paid its price. I see the reverse happening to us tonight. Unfortunately, I do not see these natural-born leaders that roll their sleeves up and they use the trench warfare. There's a little bit in the likes of Højbjerg and players like that, but generally speaking, I don't see them turning up in the big games, and this is huge. It's a huge test. If we do get something out of this, I'll be impressed. Perhaps there's a little bit of hopes for some of the players we're writing off. But for me, too many players that go missing on these sort of occasions when we need them the most, particularly in the defence. And then if you look at the players they're facing against, Sanchez, Payet, Guendouzi, like they're not going to want to put one over on us. All of those players, and they're basically in their front three, aren't they? Where we're at our weakest. So there's a lot of things that worry me in this game. And I think the hostile atmosphere is probably the biggest of the lot. I think we're going to play the occasion and come out second best because of it.
So have they got just quickly, guys, just to understand, sorry, Jack, 1 second. Just to understand, so you're saying that the other 75% of the stadium, 80% of the stadium it's all full. It's just that the north end stand, like the one behind the goal, which is full of their ultras, that's closed. That's it.
As far as I'm aware, that's what I understand. Is that this? I think it's. I'm not sure how much it holds, but the stand that holds a lot of their.
I think it went from 67,000 to 54,000, something like that.
Yeah,
it's just where they normally would sit.
Still a big bump.
There's still find tickets elsewhere in the stadium. It doesn't matter. They just take over another stand. They probably go to the south stand or something like that. Knowing them ultras, they ain't missing that game for sure. It's going to be exciting. There'll be flares out there. There'll be absolutely everything out. What's going
But
on? Jacko,
but
go on.
I got a member super chat. Sorry, Dave. From Amir Sardar. Big up, my man. And he says we must get over the line. Simple as that. In Conte we trust. Big up, lads. Top panel. Hope everyone is doing well. All the best to everyone in the house. Big up, Amir. Hopefully you got a nice, comfy sofa that you can be hiding behind tonight, Amir, because it's going to be a very, very nervous match today. But it looks like I said earlier, Amir, with the powers of Dave for these pre-match build-ups and the pre-match pump-ups, hopefully you get more and more confident. Big up, Amir Sardar, legend.
Big up from here. Can't wait to speak to you. We are Tottenham TV before the game as well, my man. Big yourself up, brother. And everybody, there's over 400 odd people watching in-house. Everyone, feel free to absolutely obliterate that like button. Absolutely smash that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. We do these building up to every single game. And guys, feel free to, like Amir Sardar, if you've got that channel membership, to use that free super chat if you have it, or even help support the channel by putting in a super chat with your thoughts, which we'll all discuss. But keep getting your comments in. You're absolutely great at that. But guys, it's 4:20. You know what time that is. I'm gonna have to jog off. I'm only messing. But what I will say though, guys, there is only 140 likes, which I mean doesn't seem like we're too pumped up for the game. But I will know you're pumped up if you obliterate that thumbs up button. So make sure you get it pressed. But Jacko, we have trailed at halftime in each of our last 3 games. Are you worried that slow starts are becoming a trend, and how do we put a stop to it? Fireworks,
Yeah,
maybe?
I think slow starts are becoming a trend, Dave. Certainly, I would agree with that. It's tough because is it because of the tactics that maybe Sean was alluding to earlier? Maybe Conte does like to sort of start with what seems to be a hardcore shell that's hard to break down. Maybe not, open yourself up too much when going forward. But ultimately, what's been happening is we've been conceding, and he hasn't been able to rely on that defense. And I think it's kind of goes both ways, where I acknowledge that maybe people can say that is a bit negative to go about that way in the first half. At the same time, though, it feels like away from home, it seems to be that's more his sort of go-to tactic. At home, it doesn't seem like he always tries to sort of start, too sort of negative or start too sort of defensive. It just seems to be away from home. He likes to sort of be as compact as possible and kind of catch a team out and perhaps get a goal without really having to, expose his team, too much to a counterattack or anything. Maybe get a goal from a set piece, just kind of get a goal when they get their opportunities. And then he can sort of tire the team out, get into the second half, and then it's really all theirs. But I feel like what's been happening ultimately is Spurs do kind of concede, Dave. And it seems to be like we can even start games off quickly. Like we do seem to bring a lot of energy in like the first sort of 10 minutes. I don't know, though. It might be because of Conte's tactics. It might be because of something else, but they sort of seem to kind of give the team the game sort of after about 15 minutes or so. And I think once we kind of give the team a bit more possession, kind of allow them to have a bit more influence, the teams that are good enough, like the Arsenals and Man Uniteds of the world, do kind of punish you for it. And I think that's kind of been our problem is the defense we know just isn't reliable enough to probably kind of concede that much possession and try to catch teams on the counter. But at the same time, too, I think we just simply probably have to look at the fact that Conte probably tries to set up that way, maybe away from home, which can be seen as a bit negative. But I also see what he's trying to go for. Maybe he is trying to just tire the other team out and get a goal against the run of play. And you kind of find them in a situation where the game is sort of in your hands here. But I do feel like a lot of it maybe is more so the players just not being reliable enough to keep goals out of the net.
For me, I actually don't think it matters how we start. I mean, we've started bright, started trying to press teams, but ultimately we end up gifting them the initiative. And when you look back at that, the last 3 goals we conceded going into halftime where we've been down, it's all been a gift from Tottenham. I mean, I know it's coming into the season a given, but it's got to stop. Hopefully some of these players can actually turn into the Grinch and, not give them absolutely anything. That would be nice. The bottom, do it, big yourself up with. Man, you missed it. We had a good, nearly an hour conversation on Antonio Conte at the start. Where were you, brother? But big yourself up. Good to see you in. He says, this is a game where we get to say, oh, it's just Marseille. Why are we so worried about them? They are a crap team. Look, 100% they are, but so is our defense line. And like we were just stating there, I mean, we can gift up goals to absolutely anybody with a bow on them as well, absolutely gift wrap them. So, I mean, Look, the bottom do, and we just got to get the job done today because the whole world is watching, waiting for a slip up. We are going to be absolutely memed everywhere after. Couve and Marseille need to win in order to qualify for the round of 16, and a point might not be enough for them to get into the Europa League either. Like where Jack was saying, Spurs have been conceding goals easily of late, and have also been conceding goals very early into the second half as well. How confident are you in the defence holding out and doing us a favour today?
Seriously,
I'm sorry.
we're not keeping a clean. No,
Jack.
Romero, we're not keeping a clean sheet. Let's face it. We haven't won away in Europe in a couple of years now. That includes Conference League. People think it's going to be easy to turn all this around suddenly. I just don't see it happening. I think there's going to be some sort of belief in the team, and too many games you just don't see it. Players just seem scared when they're on the ball. They're not relaxed at all. You look at some of the other teams that are good on technically gifted players. They're happy to play it out from the back. If they get into trouble, they'll just do their little triangles, pass their way out of trouble. For us, it always ends up with a desperate punt down the middle of the field and hoping something happens. I just don't see it. I just don't think we're good enough. We've got some great players, but we've also got some absolutely bang average players at best. I think we need all-round good players to go to this on these sort of occasions. This isn't just your little run down to the coast and enjoy it at Bournemouth. This is going to be hostile. This is going to be really, really up for it. And I see some of our players I think are a bit lily-livered, to be honest. I think Perisic is a good shout for his experience. He won't get lost by the occasion. He'll know what to do. Some of the others, I think it's a good shout with Sanchez. I don't think he will get affected by it because he'll just do his own thing and he crumbles when he gets feels like it.
That's the problem. He does his own thing.
He'll pull out the calamity whenever he feels like it.
He does his own thing. There's no pressure. He's not even paying
in
attention.
his own world, really.
That's right. He's have a point around and blame somebody else and I don't know. Occasionally header a ball, except for when you need to.
Dave, since you had such a better question about the defense than I did, so maybe just to make my question look a bit better and maybe to give you a chance to answer something on that sort of part in that question about how we also concede in sort of the second half. What do you make of that? I feel like I agree with what you asked me earlier, which is we do tend to concede first, but also I think we tend to concede very early into the second half. Right after we get that sort of halftime team talk and rollicking from Conte, no matter how inspiring it is for the players, they found a way to often concede early in the second half, which kind of also makes our job a whole lot harder.
Yeah, look, again, it just comes down to switching off, failing to execute the basics, needing time to get into the game. Slow starts is something we've seen for a long time at this football club. It hasn't just been under Conte. It's been under Jose. It's been under Pochettino at times as well. And for me, the only way of changing it really is changing that back line. They're just, unfortunately, Couve's right. Some of them just seem to do what they absolutely want to do. And it's just kind of like there's no cohesiveness about them. There's no unit there. There's no one sitting in the middle of them, dragging them back into position, telling them to spread out when he's on the ball, looking to receive it, berating them for silly sort of mistakes. So I'll stand there slapping each other's arse, high-fiving each other. Well done, we got away with that one. I mean, it's got to absolutely stop. Today, we've got to stop that rot, and it's got to be today. There's no second chances after today. Look, and you know what the sickening thing is? These players will then moan about being in the Europa Conference League, and I'll just go mad. It's like, well, I mean, bozos, you're the one that put us there in the first place. So I just want to see us put in a nice, cohesive performance today. Do I have faith in any of them stepping up? Well, look, you look at Ben Davies. I know Mike's not going to hear this, but, you look at his quotes after the Vitesse game. You're talking about Vitesse, let alone heading to Marseille. So that doesn't give me faith. Dyer looks whiter than my bed sheets lately. You know what I mean? It's absolutely shambolic what he's at lately. Although he did come in and put in a decent cameo.
He'll be okay tonight. He'll be okay
and help stopped. And then you've got Clement Langley, who I'm hoping will be in there. I think he'll stand up to it, no bother. Hugo Lloris is a concern. You just don't know what you're going to get from the guy at the minute. So for me,
also,
I think
Dave,
being a Leon man, he's a Leon man, which I don't think does well. That's a really old rivalry as well, Leon versus Marseille. So they probably don't even like Hugo. I bet they don't even like Hugo there.
Someone was saying to me earlier, I forget who it was, but they were like, "There's no everyone in Leon would love to put one on Hugo Lloris tonight." Well, and he must be knowing that. So I expect him to come of the hour, come of the man. I expect him to put in an absolute shift.
I really hope so, because he's our captain. I mean, if our captain doesn't do it, we've got absolutely no hope. Faz Radfar says, trust me, Stellini's halftime team talks are scary too. Well, I really do hope so, Faz Radfar. I mean, I hope so. I really do hope so. Hopefully he just goes in there, loses a few Italian words, and get them out here in the second half. Big up, Faz, my man. Mike Barrow says, Dave, when have you seen Ben slack? I mean, I'm going to give you something easy. Before he scored the other day, he gave away the ball 4 times trying to play forward. That's slacking off. We conceded 2 goals the other day. He was dragged out of position I don't know how many times. That's also slacking off. And I'll pick more games this season, to be honest with you, Mike. There's loads of them out there. Loads of them. The guy, in fact, what I put a question to you. What has he done at this football club, bar last season where he started nearly every game? What has he done at this football club before it?
Dave, with massive respect to Mike, because Mike's a friend of mine from the comments of my channel. He's a Welsh man, so you'd be hard pressed to find him to go any other way.
I'm not asking him. He just gives out.
He's backing his boys. He's backing his Welsh boys, man. And full respect to the man. He's backing the Welsh man.
That's all well and good. That's all well and good. But when it comes to club football, you've got to call them out. I mean, I call Matt Doherty out every single day of the week. I'm Irish. He's Irish. Just because he's from my fellow country, it doesn't make him good enough to be able to play the game for Tottenham Hotspur at the end of the day. You know, call a spade a spade. Look, he may be good enough for Wales, but he's not good enough for Tottenham if I'm being brutally honest. Look, I'm not here to trash Ben Davies or that before we go into the game. I just hope he stands up, to be honest with you. But look, Conte did rest players for the Bournemouth game in anticipation tonight. Sean, Conte wanted to rest Dyer against Bournemouth, but he had to bring him off the bench to stop things from going completely awry. Does Dyer owe him and the fans a big performance today, given the October that he's had?
Good question.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I think that. Look, I have more faith in Eric Dyer than you guys do, than you or Jack do. I'm not entirely sure about where Cooper feels, how he stands on.
Does Eric Dyer love you, Sean?
I think he does, and I love him. I think the guy's I think he's a talent. I don't think he's not a well beater. But look, listen, I think last season he proved a lot of people wrong. This season, he's generally a good player for a very specific position, and I think he's had a couple of weak moments in the last few games, no doubt about it. Right? You can't shake away from the fact. But everyone makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But I would rather him. If I was going into war, I wouldn't mind Eric Dyer being by my side. And I feel like tonight is going to be an absolute war. And for me, if there's a choice between Eric Dyer...
He probably needs you by him size to fill up some of the spaces he keeps leaving, Sean.
Listen, he's not perfect. But I don't have the same lack of confidence in him that I know you guys do on the Irish Hotspur. I like him a lot. I think he's a good player. I don't want him to leave Tottenham Hotspur. I would love him to have some serious competition, and I hope that we're going to find that through a Skriniar or De Vrij or whoever in January. But he needs competition. He's had a couple of weak games for sure, but he came in against Bournemouth in the second half, and not only did he play out of position, he played on the right. When was the last time we saw him play on the right-hand side? I know he started as a right back for Tottenham when he first came in. He's a bit of a utility player that can do a job in most positions. He's been a defensive midfielder as well. I think he'll do a job tonight. I think given the magnitude of the situation, given the high pressure cooker environment that it's going to be, and I think that given the talent that he has relative to the other options, i.e. Sanchez, for me, if Stellini/Conte has decided to go with Longley in the middle and Dyer on the right, I'm all for it. If he's gone for Dyer in the middle, Sanchez on the right, I'm a little bit less for it. But I have absolute full faith that Dyer's going to do us a solid tonight, because I think he's the sort of player that will stand up when it counts. And I back the guy tonight.
Do you know what?
I back him.
Look. I back them going into every single game. I just hope after 10 minutes we don't see the usuals from some of these guys where we're playing well, we look like we're confident, look like in a bit of control, and then all of a sudden one ball goes into the Marseille Ultras, the other heads back to the hotel where we were sleeping, ball goes out for a corner kick. I do not want to see that shit tonight, because that's where the mistakes start happening. That's where we start crumbling. So that shit's got to stop today. But Cuba, Romero did not train yesterday, and he is out for this match. That usually means left feet Sanchez is coming in, but he has looked very ropey recently, on and off the ball. He was dragged off after 57 minutes versus Bournemouth after an amazing appearance, failing to record a single tackle or a block. We got to see Dyer come in for him as the right-sided centre-back. Into the back three with Langley in the middle and Davies on the left. Would you like to see this today, or do you trust two left feet Sanchez?
Would I like to
He's
see
amazing.
it? No, I don't want to see either. But the trouble is, going to have to suffer through something, aren't we? For me, funny enough, I've got the complete opposite opinion on Dyer to what Shawnee does. I see Dyer doing the great job when it's all easy. When he's really not a lot to do, he's got time to spray the ball around. Looks really good. When the pressure is on, and those big moments in the games when you need to see it out, he goes missing. I think
you know what, though, Kuva? I absolutely agree with you. I fully agree with you. But when he came in the other day for Sanchez, I thought
it was worlds better. It just was worlds better. And I think what it is for me, Kuva, is they could be just as ropey defensively. When they're both low on confidence, they can be just as ropey defensively, but he's just so much better on the ball. And he's not even good on the ball, but he's that much better on the ball than Sanchez. And I think that's how sad it is with how poor Sanchez is on the ball. And I think that's what it really is. Ultimately, it just gave us such a better feel in the game. We just felt so much more comfortable just because Sanchez just is so uncomfortable in possession. I feel like Kuba, I don't know. But they're both atrocious defensively, especially when they're short of confidence. I think Sanchez has been short of confidence this whole season, since preseason. He's been short of confidence, it feels like. But Dyer, I think once he went through his sort of, as I like to say, his October, where he turns it into a Dyer October, I think he ultimately still is better than Sanchez on the ball, and that just makes us look a lot better. And it is probably what we have to deal with for the time being. I think I just can't see Sanchez a right-sided center back. He's the one player, Dave, for me under Conte that we asked, I think, a while back. I think we asked the We Are Time TV boys, basically, of all the players that have improved under Conte. You could say Dyer has, Ben Davies has. Has Sanchez improved?
Well, Jack, with all the noise surrounding him earlier on in the start of the season, I mean, I thought he was go up there for Defender of the Year, no?
Maybe so, but it just feels like Sanchez is the one of all the defenders that Conte, and of all the players that Conte has improved massively and gotten huge tunes out of, and it's in some cases repaired their career. I would say in some cases with Spurs, Sanchez is the one that I would say has looked just as ropey as he always kind of has, if not ropier. Under Conte. And I don't think that has anything to do with Conte, of course, because if he was able to get a tune out of Davies and Dyer and turn them into much better defenders than they were before, why is it that Sanchez couldn't be turned into a better defender? So I think it just says a lot about just Sanchez's quality simply. But I think Dyer is so short of confidence defensively right now. I think I'm just as sketched out defensively with Dyer, but so woeful Sanchez has been recently in possession.
I think this is the
Dyer, just have to go with him.
Yeah, I think for me this is why you put him in the same bracket as Emerson Royale. You've just got to accept some players are just not good players. It doesn't matter how much you big them up, how much you back them, you will not reach the level you want to reach with them.
Sanchez was a £45 million signing back in the day when £45 million was a lot of money. Jack, right?
Still buy
your most expensive before Romero, our most expensive defender.
Honestly, I thought it was worth every penny. I've been told. I mean, I'm confused what's going on here.
That's right. Big up, Levy.
I thought it was I was being told that anyway.
I was talking to Brian Daigle earlier on the phone, and I was saying to him, do you remember? I was like, remember Brian back in like February, March of last year or April of last year when I said that if Levy let us down in the window in the summer, you would see me at a protest or whatever, or in reality you're not going to do that, but you're going to see me say like Levy out. Then I was like, but I don't think the window was bad. I think it was, it ended up being uninspiring, and the acclamation of the players. Now we're in problems. I was like, if Levy doesn't come to town and figure it out for January, at least get us like, find 150 million under the mattress, go and let them buy 2 players, whatever. You might end up hearing me say those words. And I said it to him, and he went, Sean, I don't care what happens tonight now. You've just made my absolute day.
Brilliant.
I love it.
Brilliant.
Well, to quickly answer King Hoddle, if I can, he says he wonders if Kuva thinks Doherty is a better footballer than Emerson. Barely.
Look, I keep telling people about Matt Doherty. I don't know why people keep not listening to me. I really don't understand it. But look, we're going to move into that now. So I think we're all in agreement then. We would like to see Dyer at right-sided centre-back, Langley in the middle, and Davies on the left, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to go, yeah. Yeah, I would say Ben Davies, Longley.
Still an experiment, though. Still a major experiment, because the only time we've seen it work was when they weren't tested. We had 40 minutes of it against Bournemouth, and Dyer looked good going forward, but we haven't seen him face the consequences of being under the cosh from Sanchez, a Guendouzi or Rivera 2 or whoever else down the left-hand side, down our right-hand side.
I think what Sanchez had going for him at one stage, Sean, was when he was making tackles and he was getting stuck in for us and able to make those recovery runs and things like that for us, even if he was caught out of position. As we saw from Bournemouth and as what you saw from the stats, he whiffed all of his tackles that day. He just simply took huge swings and just found the player just, already past him. It was really that shocking of a game where he missed all of his tackles. It's not like he didn't go for any tackles. He went for a lot of tackles and he just missed all of them. And I think that's where you find yourself, like, if he's not able to defend, as well as we know he's horrible in possession, but if he's not able to defend either, then you just go with.
Honestly, I'm actually surprised we haven't turned them stats and fluffed them up and make him sound like World Defender of the Year. I mean, honestly,
they'll make it sound like Maldini.
all the guys, when I was tweeting about Sanchez, talking about Sanchez, funny enough, I haven't seen any of them in the last while. I genuinely hope you guys out there, the Sanchez fan club, are okay. I literally haven't seen any of you since he's been absolutely poor. My heart does go out to you guys. And the bottom dude says, would you play a back 4 like how we started against Newcastle? Davies is the left back, Perisic is left mid, play a 4-4-2. I'll be honest, no. And look, I like the idea. At some stage, I would love to be able to get back to a back 4, but we just simply do not have the players to do it. Sanchez and Dyer and sometimes Davies as well, Matt Doherty as well, formed a back 4 under Jose Mourinho. They were absolutely incapable. And I am not prepared to go back there because it was absolutely embarrassing the rate we were conceding goals under Jose Mourinho with them guys at the back. I remember, I think it was Dyer played against Leeds. I think he was at fault for like 3 of the goals when we got slapped by them. So for me, I don't want to return anywhere near it until we see more rotation in that back line. And our defenders can actually be confident to play out from the back.
I think that back line would be, just to make it clear, I think that backline would be Davies at left back, Longley at left-sided center back, Dyer at right-sided center back, Emerson at full back, and then he probably puts Lucas, I would imagine, or somebody maybe at right mid or somebody else, and then Perisic at left mid, Højbjerg and Bentancur through the middle, Kane and Son up top. When you put it that way, there isn't a whole problem with it, but we did get absolutely dismantled by Newcastle at one stage. So there is, I don't know. I just think it's a lot of pressure on the back line today. I don't know. I think we should actually probably go with the 3-4-3 today, but I don't know. The bottom dude, it's just with the injuries and everything, we just find ourselves with a very tough predicament, especially with the confidence that we have in these center backs, which is not a lot. It's very, very tough right now. I think almost anything sounds a bit, sketchy. I think at this time.
The whole reason why we have an extra.
I was going to say, particularly as we don't actually need to win this game to go through, it doesn't make a lot of sense to go a bit gung-ho and commit too many players forward. They've got to bring the game to us to a certain extent. So do we go back to the old looking for
Hit them on the
the
break,
outlet
yeah.
ball to Kane and flip it over the top for Son. Seems.
But that's why we have to have three up front, right? That's if we're going to do that. If we're going to sit back and do the three, like the defend because they have to come at us and then we go and break. That's why we need to have, because that system doesn't work when you have Emerson. When you have Basuma, Højbjerg, and Bentancur, they don't break as quickly as when you have a Lucas or a Kulusevski or Brian Hill. Any of those three. Obviously, Kulu's not around.
Son struggled to get into the game as well, Sean. When we don't
exactly. There was like Moses parting the Dead Sea between the guys in the midfield and the defense and the front two. It was so bad against Bournemouth, and tonight's a different entity. If we're gonna do that, and I take Cooper's point, if we're gonna do that situation, if we're gonna go, we don't need to win, so let's just sit back, absorb, do what Tottenham do very well. When we do it very well, we do it very, very well, and that is sit back, absorb, get the ball, and then pounce. If we're gonna do that, we can't do that in a 3-5-2 tonight. We have to do it 3-4-3. And for me, given the magnitude of the situation, as much as this channel, and I'm with you boys, I love Brian Hill. I want to see him get more minutes. I don't think tonight is the night. I think tonight is the night you see Brian.
Prophecy told me, but don't worry.
You get Lucas Moura on the pitch, and you either sit him in the 10. I'd rather sit him in the 10 rather than on the right, because on the right, he has the propensity to go missing. I'd rather sit him in the 10 and then let him connect the dots, or at least let him be tricky and busy. Yeah. But for me, or put Harry Kane in and let Lucas Moura do his thing on the whatever. But either way, I don't want to see Lucas Moura hanging onto the right touchline because he goes missing out there. I want to see the front three a little bit more narrow, but essentially do the same thing, 3-4-3, as we would have done with Kulu, just without Kulu.
Do you know what? I agree. For me, look, I don't want to see the bottom. First of all, definitely don't want to play a four at the back. All the defenders that we're going to be using tonight, even if it's Session that has to play left back, all proved they couldn't do it before in the defensive system set up to protect them with midfielders sitting so deep, etc., etc. I'm not prepared to risk it tonight, if I'm being brutally honest. But I like your thinking, and I would like to get back to a four at the back at some stage. But look, Sean was saying there, and the biggest call tonight for me is the formation. And look, obviously the players stepping up, but it's the formation. Now, I want to put an end to this 3-5-2 or whatever it is. I do not like it. I agree with Sean. Wing-backs don't get as high and as quick up as we need them to do. The midfield often are sitting back way too deep on top of the back line. They're not getting forward enough. And Kane and Son are left largely isolated with long balls into them to deal with. And it's just not a good look. And what's going to end up happening is we'll give the ball back to Marseille and they're just going to recycle it and come back at us again tonight. So for me, I want the 3-4-3. We need Lucas Moura up there with Kane and Son to be able to play into him, to give us that extra option to allow us to get out and get further up the field. So for me, I want to go back to the 3-4-3 tonight. Jack, Cooper, where you guys are at, big up the bottom, do it.
I agreed with Sean. I'm with the 3-4-3 today. I feel like the 3-4-3 has been our best chance going forward. Ultimately, if we do need to score a goal, I think the 3-4-3 is our best chance of scoring a goal. The 3-5-2 was supposed to be more defensively solid. I think probably most people that were advocating for the 3-5-2 might have admitted that, yes, it's not going to be as great going forward, but they were going to think, you know what, we're not going to get dominated in midfield. We're going to be a bit more compact, being able to sort of, I don't know, not get, let's say, pushed around by, the opposition midfield and perhaps not be camped inside your own box so much. But the 3-5-2 has weirdly been a bit leakier, or has almost been, I would say, nowhere near as defensively solid from how it sort of appears in the most part. So the 3-4-3 is something that we've been a bit more experienced with. We drop into that sort of, that 5-4-1 kind of shape. I think it's been very effective for us. And especially, I think, in even the Champions League this season, it's been effective for us. And what's also funny is that, as I may add as well, Dave, this has sort of been the group of 3-4-3s. If you haven't noticed, Frankfurt play a 3-4-3, Marseille play a 3-4-3, and then Sporting play a 3-4-3 as well. So it's just, I think, only right that we also go with the 3-4-3 today. Only to stay with tradition of the Group D.
100%. Just quickly, Thanos, again, taken way out of proportion. Talk about blowing something up. I mean, I don't hate most of our players. I talk about 4 or 5 individuals out of a squad of 22 players, if not, was it 22, 24 players? So, I mean, that's nowhere near most of them. So let's not blow this out of proportion. And the reason why I want us to go through is because I'm a very passionate Tottenham fan. I call out these players because I don't believe they're good enough to be here and play the style we want to. And I want us to go through because I don't want to go into the Europa Conference League. I'd rather us go into the next round of the Champions League, which is what most Spurs fans, I think, want. But just because I call out a couple of players that, I mean, on evidence, I've been right to call them out. And every time I do call them out, they prove me right for calling them out. It doesn't mean I hate Tottenham and I don't want them to go through. It's called having a civilized discussion and a debate on people's ability if they're not good enough to be here and they constantly make mistakes. In fact, I wouldn't talk about them, and nobody would, if they'd done their job. So I'd put it to you this way: just start getting them to do their job, and then they won't get the hate that they deserve. But again, let's not blow it out of proportion. It's not most. It's a couple out of the squad that I deem not good enough to be here. But, at the end of the day, I'm just sharing my opinions on them. But sorry, Kuva, back to you, my man. Formations.
Yeah, difficult call. If everybody was fighting fit, 3-4-3 without question for me. Kulusevski would start. Sonny, Kane. That's our front three. That is definitely our best front three. It becomes a little bit more complicated because of Lucas's lack of form, lack of starts lately. It doesn't really offer that same kind of attacking outlet. Sean's idea of putting him in the middle, maybe, there's a possibility of that. Get him on the ball a bit more. See if he could do a few more of those little dangerous runs he is capable of doing sometimes, and get into the box, perhaps win a penalty or something. You never know. Cause a bit of chaos anyway.
Who's that, sorry?
With Lucas. If you play him centrally.
He's a better player in the centre than he's on the wing.
Yeah, you got to say, I agree with that. The toss-up is, are you going to persist with Basuma in any games? Because I think you can do the 3-5-2 fairly well if he's playing well. It does give us the option to set one player exclusively to set on the likes of Payet and make sure he doesn't influence the game.
Yeah.
And that'll give a bit of freedom to the others. Yeah.
Guendouzi's a massive threat tonight. An ex-Arsenal boy would love to fucking smash us, as with Alexis Sanchez. It's like, you know what? You couldn't have written this fucking script more. Sorry, Coob, I'm interrupting you.
Ex-West Ham.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
all the old boys want to fucking tear us down.
Especially with the pace of Sanchez, if they got a couple of people pulling the trigger and putting the killer through ball through, we haven't got the players to stop Sanchez pace for pace. So you've got to look at cutting off his supply. So it does mean be a little bit more diligent in front of the back four. That does give a case for playing the 3-5-2. It's a toss-up for me. Which do you go with? It's squeaky bum time. We just have not got players that are quality in every position.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. And look, hopefully whatever formation, whatever 11's put out there tonight, that they can all just, cover for each other when needed, spur each other on when needed. That'd be absolutely brilliant to see. Thanos is back saying, talk positive, people. I mean, look, I've been called one of the most delusional people out here in terms of Tottenham Hotspur. 99% of what I say is actually positive. But unfortunately, people want me to talk positive about a backline that continues to leak goals that I've been talking about for the last 2 years that nobody else wanted to address this summer. But look, that's the only sort of negative thing you will really hear me say about Tottenham, to be honest. Jory says the backline needs to be select based on football basic merits. 1 fight, 2 discipline, 3 footy IQ, 4 technical ability. Saying that I see it. Dyer, Langley, Davies, big up fellas. I mean, Jory, quick, stop. You're not allowed to tell the truth about some of these guys. You're not allowed to do it. But Jacko, I mean, what would you say to Jory here? I think he's right.
Word for word.
What he points out there, it's the basics.
Word for word, I agree. And I think that's with what we have available to us today, Jory. I think I go with the same one. I think we probably trial again Longley through the middle, as much as he might be a bit uncomfortable for it. I think some of those things that you listed there, Sanchez just simply doesn't have. He probably has the fight. He doesn't have the discipline, though, and he doesn't have the footy IQ or the technical ability. He probably just has the numero uno, and then the rest of them that follow after that, I don't really think he actually has. So I think we have to go with probably a more assured back line and a more composed back line, and that is going to be Dyer, Longley, and Davies. And it is going to be interesting because we only got to see a certain type of scenario with Dyer in the team, starting with him at that right-sided center back. How is that going to work out will be interesting. I think the only time we've ever seen that before other than the Bournemouth game, was the first game ever under Antonio Conte. Probably KPV or Dark Sun G would be able to maybe tell me if I'm wrong on this. But when we did play Vitesse, I think at home under Antonio Conte in the Europa Conference League, I think he actually started with Dyer at the right-sided center back, put Romero through the middle, but Dyer was getting kind of torched out there at the right-sided center back. So he actually moved Dyer to the middle and put Romero to the right-sided center back. So we'll see how it goes today. I'm excited, Jory, but based on those principles, absolutely agree, my man. And I hope that's what we see today. And I think it was really that poor of a display from Sanchez. I really would be shocked that he would go with him again.
No, big up, Jerry. Look, I would like to see that tree. I really would tonight. I think Sanchez is an absolute liability, if I'm being brutally honest, Jerry. So I think it does have to be Davies, Langley, and Dyer. Now, there is concern. Can they form a cohesive unit between the three of them? I don't think we've seen that tree in that order. That's a different question, and that's a different story. But I would have more faith in these guys than I would if Sanchez was anywhere in along that line, Jerry. Big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate the support. Now, I actually do want to get into talking a player that I do believe is good enough for to be here, so you will hear a lot of positivity from me on him. And that's Rodrigo Bentancur, a.k.a. Ben Tekers. In his last 9 games for Spurs, Bentancur scored 3 times, as many as he could muster across his previous 173 club appearances. Kuva, you mentioned them earlier. Are we currently witnessing Bentancur taking his game to a new level right now?
It's really promising, isn't it? He's coming along, certainly. And as I said earlier, I think the real test for him is at these big games. When it really matters, it's crunch time. If he goes missing, he's not there yet. If he does manage to continue this improvement, and it is great improvement I'm seeing, then yeah, we'll be looking at this as a player. This is somebody who can take us on to winning something. He's that kind of caliber. We'll have to wait and see. This is a big test for him tonight. The whole team, in fact.
Yeah.
I might have a cheeky bet on Bentancur to get a goal tonight. Let me look at the price.
I'd definitely put him in there for an assist today. I would, Shani. I'd put him in for assist. Maybe it's going to be
Dyer, isn't it?
Any time assist. Let's have a look. Any time assist. Bentancur 4-1. Oh, 4-1. I like those odds.
Is it the assist or the goal shot?
I think it's the goal. To be honest, Jack,
I'm not sure if it's the assist.
Maybe I think
you probably more bet on Højbjerg the assist
to score
and
or assist. To score or assist. Rodrigo
to score or assist. Sorry.
7-2. I'll take that. How about that?
I think you take that.
20 quid. 20 quid. Done. Boys, we're looking.
Moondog, are you listening?
We're rooting for a Bentancur goal or assist tonight. There we go. It's done. 20 quid. 90 quid coming back to Shawnee if Ben 10 Tekers gets the job done. Let's go, Bentancur. Let's go.
I love it. Love it. Shawnee, your friend Mike keeps coming back in. He says, please, Dave, don't pump out excuses. You're on the same side and you're entitled to an opinion. Yeah. I mean, I'm not on anybody's side. In fact, I get ridiculed for not being on people's side because I pave my own way and I do my own thing and have my own thoughts. So, first of all, I would actually correct that. I'm not on anybody's side. And, I am entitled to my opinion and my voice is big and it's important. That's why I talk about the deficiencies in the back line.
Yeah, no, I don't think, unless I'm wrong, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you're calling Dave out. I think you're reminding him that other people that are trying to wind you up or trying to say things to drag you into. I think what basically he's saying is there was somebody else a minute ago that was trying to have a crack at you a little bit or whatever. And I think Mike's saying, no, you're entitled to your say what you want. So yeah, big up, Mike. I think big up, Mike. And big up to Thanos as well from previously for having your crack on this channel. As far as I'm aware, guys, I don't want to speak for you, but we don't like echo chambers, do we? Everyone's opinions are welcome as long as they're constructive and welcome, right? And
exactly, but that's my point. Don't ridicule me for my opinions and don't call me negative when I'm actually being called deluded, head of a cult, this, that, and the other. So I mean, don't call me negative when I'm actually one of the most positive out here, in my opinion. But look, we're going to move on now. Look, first of all, with Rodrigo Bentancur, I think I'm absolutely delighted for him in Salzburg, to be honest with you boys, because these are two players that people expect just to be replaced straight away by someone like Basuma, maybe Skip coming back. But the two of them have held down the fort. They've held their own positions, and the two of them have actually pushed on to new levels. Zinedine Salzburg has become very, very important going forward. He's got, 3 goals, 4 assists, very crucial going forward. And then you've also got Rodrigo Bentancur, who's the guy that when we do get it into him, he's the one that transitions it. He moves it from left to right. He helps get forward as well at times. So for me, I think the two of them have been very, very important. I think the two of them have actually took their games to new heights, which is great to see. And then hopefully Bissouma and Ollie Skip can get to that level, because right now, from what I've seen, they are so far off offering what them two boys do in the middle. Ollie Skip, I think, is going to take time because he's got a long injury to come back from. There's match sharpness, match fitness, just getting games into the legs and stuff like that. And Bissouma, I know people don't like it, but at the end of the day, it was like with Ericsson that went to Inter when Conte first took over at Fabregas. If you do not know his system, you don't play, and it's that simple. And it's up to Bissouma to get up to speed with what he requires from the players in the middle, because it's one of the most tactical and disciplined performances needed in the team with the role they play. Because with the two, you can't just go gung ho and be caught out in the middle and leave us exposed right down the middle. So I think that for me. But I'm absolutely loving Bentancur's, Rodrigo Bentancur's brilliance. It's not bad for a Juve reject, if we're being brutally honest. But look, Jack, anything you want to say on Salzburg before we move on? I know your lips are trembling as soon as I said his name.
I think it's actually, what's funny is Salzburg got us started, I think, with being probably the best, maybe, or at least most consistent, whether he even thought he was the best player in the beginning of the season. He was certainly the most consistent at a higher level of all of our players. And now I think Bentancur has kind of taken his place, Davo, and it's nice to see. And even probably so far, if you looked at the season as a whole, you might actually say Bentancur and Højbjerg maybe most consistent players this season thus far. I think Kane has picked up his goals when we've needed them, but if you're really looking at the actual impact and influence on the game in, game out, I think it's been either Bentancur or Højbjerg that have been absolutely outstanding for us. And I think what's also a bit surprising is we knew that we were going to probably need some other goals from other positions this season. It hasn't come from Perisic, sadly. It hasn't come from other players, sadly, that we brought into this team. It's actually come from Højbjerg and Bentancur that have actually been picking up the goals and kind of doing the extra work for the team here, Dave. And I think that's actually also even more commendable for them, because they've been criticized for their ability going forward in the past, especially Højbjerg has been criticized for his ability going forward. And with the way he's playing, I think it's really hard to argue against, playing Bissouma, in Højbjerg's position. Because some people, as much as I really like Bissouma, some people have said play Bissouma higher, put Højbjerg deeper. It's kind of like, well, with the way Højbjerg's been picking up assists and goals, I mean, you wouldn't really want to take him further away from his own goal with the way he's been playing. And I think what we're really missing is probably a Weston McKennie or just some sort of kind of goal-scoring box-to-box midfielder. But for the time being, for what we have right now, I think Bentancur and Højbjerg have done an exceptional job at actually picking up that extra workload. And also just scoring the goals where other players haven't, Dave. Like players like Perisic, Richarlison, etc. Also with the injuries to the front line, have not been scoring the goals. And it's nice to see them kind of pick up that load.
Absolutely spot on. It's great to see them pick up the game, and hopefully we need a massive performance from the two of them tonight. Abe Nordine says, question for you, Dave. Why don't you ever criticize Conte? What agenda do you have? Look, I'm on his payroll, and that's what people will tell you. I'm his agent, this, that, and the other. Look, no agenda. Just because I have a difference of opinion doesn't mean I have an agenda. And this shit has to stop around the Spurs fan base. All of a sudden, you've got a difference of opinion. It's agenda. It's this. It's ulterior motives. Absolute bollocks. I mean, last time I checked, and when I was brought up, was a free world, and I was always told I could think freely. I don't need anyone to tell me what to think. So, look, that's where I'm at. I just thought until our defense gets rotated, I refuse to criticize any manager of the style of football when I've seen the same team for 3 to 4 years. What I'd ask you is I'd flip that question and say, why do you blame the manager when you keep seeing the same teams over the last 3-4 years? Now, I've answered your question. Hopefully you can answer mine. But look, we're going to move on into the forward line, guys. Kane has drawn a blank in 4 of his 5 Champions League outings this year, and Son didn't score against Bournemouth, and Sonny hasn't scored. And both of them didn't score against Bournemouth. Sonny hasn't scored for 5 matches since our home win against Frankfurt. We have also failed to score away from home in this group. How important is it that these two step up today? when we need the most, and we'll start with you, Jack, and work our way around.
He's off.
Oh, okay, we'll start with Sean.
I'm sorry, mate. I was putting a bet on. What was the question, Dave?
Yeah,
I do
we'll start
apologize,
with
mate.
Cuva.
All right, Sonny and Kane stepping up to the plate. That's what it's all about, Shawnee. Yeah, it's really important, but then again, is it that important? Nah, it's just sell them both. They've been rubbish. Gone lots of money for Levy. Big up, Levy. No, these sort of games, you need your biggest players step up. That's what they're paid this huge amount for. It's for games like this to show their quality when it's needed. This is a perfect time for one or both of them come in with a goal when we need it the most. Takes the pressure off the rest of the team. It's what separates good players from great players. We don't see it enough with the team. They've all been falling off the page at times this season. Funny enough, talking about Bentancur and Højbjerg, they do seem the most consistent. Defense and attack have both been very sketchy. Kane, sure, he's scoring goals. You expect he's a quality forward. If you get him in the box a lot, you will get goals out of him. Are we getting enough out of him? Is it the maximum we can get out of him? I'd say probably not. I think he was having a better season last season when he was dropping back further more regularly, doing some of the killer through balls. We see it at times, and it's a reminder of what he can do. But we're so inconsistent. I think it's time now. We're getting to the crunch end of this phase of the season, if you like, because it's split in two halves because of the World Cup. This is where we need them to step up tonight. Get us through this game. Big game against Liverpool. Need them then as well. One or both of them. One of them hitting the target. No doubt about it. They're not going to be easy games. They're not going to be big score lines, I don't think. So those quality finishes when needed by your two top forwards. Let's see it. They
have to step up tonight.
Otherwise, you have to start questioning them this season because it's very inconsistent. Well, Kane's still getting the goals, though, isn't he? Sonny,
still very consistent from him, though. He's still not near the player we seen last year.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. Yeah,
Sonny. Right now, if this was the first season you ever saw from Sonny, you would say he's a £15 million player. Looks tricky, but got no end product, no final decision-making process, likes to have a crack from distance, looks a little bit selfish. That's the way that you would summarize Sonny if you saw him for the first time in the last 15 games. He's got the potential to be magic, like he did in the Leicester game or whatever. But
do you think that's their problem, Sean? Maybe the two of them are being a bit selfish, because there has been times where Kane could have played Sonny, especially earlier on the season, didn't. There's been times Sonny could have done the same, didn't happen. Do you think that's the biggest problem between the two of them right now? Is the selfishness between them you allude to?
I think it's an aspect, and if I'm going to throw it one way, this is not me favouring one or the other, but I think that Sonny has acted a little bit more selfish than Harry Kane has. If you saw against, I'm not sure if it was Bournemouth or if it was the game before, where maybe it was Newcastle, where Sonny had like two shots from 25 yards in the first 5 minutes of the game. You know, he looked so desperate to get a goal, and then, you know, like Harry Kane sitting there going like, put me in. And then when Harry Kane then does the same about 10 minutes later, and Harry Kane's probably got more of a justification to have a shot from the position he's in. And then Sonny's like, put me in when he's still outside the area. I think there's a little element of that. Like, I mean, Dave, you played football. I don't know if Jack plays football or did play football. I don't know if you did, Kuba. I never did. In rugby, you have to pass backwards. So it's never a situation where like you're being selfish unnecessarily. Like there's never that chance to really do something that's too selfish. I mean, there is occasions, but in rugby, it's so much more of a team game. You have to pass backwards, so you have to bring everybody in. So I don't know what it's like, but if you did play football and somebody next to you, no matter whatever level, if someone next to you is taking shots they shouldn't be taking, do you naturally think, fuck you, I'm going to take the next one for myself then? Yeah.
100%, lad. Look, I can only speak from my experience. Someone that likes the headlines, which most front players do, love the headlines. If some guy's taking a shot where he could have slipped you in, the very next thing you're going to do is go up, keep running, and you're going to fire one on goal. End up. You're going to say next time you thread me through and I thread you through. But there definitely comes some bits of selfishness there. I think you're absolutely spot on, Sean. Now, some people you would maybe say are better human beings than me and would say, no, I will slip through the partnership has to start somewhere. But me, personally, I ain't playing you in because I know myself. My balls are 10 times better for you. I'll put them on the plate. But if you're going to be selfish and you don't play me in when I play you in, I ain't doing the same, vice versa. Is there a bit of that between Kane and Son? I think so, Jack, do you think they're as close this year as we've seen in previous years? Usually they're falling over each other. See them in a lot of interviews, this, that, and you don't really see it this year.
Well, the reason they haven't been falling over each other is just because Sonny hasn't been really scoring in much of a frequent pace. I think it's just that we don't get to see the hugs and the kisses between Kane and Son simply as much. So it has just been them running around the pitch trying to chase the ball and whatnot, which doesn't look probably as much of a smile on their face, you could say. I think with Sonny, Dave, I agree with Sean. I think it probably is more on Sonny's case because Harry Kane ultimately is the creator up that front line. He is the one that threads people through, and he is the guy that does more of the hold up play in being able to hold people and being able to find people between the lines. Sonny, of course, as we've talked about frequently, has been asked to do more hold up play than he's usually asked. But it is ultimately going to be Kane, I think, threading people through. I think what Sonny, though, is that because he hasn't been scoring at such a frequent rate, or he really has probably, as you would say, scored in patches, like against Frankfurt, of course, grabbing a brace where he scored absolutely brilliantly. And then you looked at his Leicester game. He's kind of had really good games, but hasn't been able to come out of it with a goal. So I think he's still finding himself in that sort of kind of mental state, Dave, where he needs to keep firing shots. He feels like he needs to just keep firing until he kind of gets himself out of it. And if anything, from what I know, and I think it applies to a lot of scenarios, if you kind of just keep shooting and you keep firing, probably something's going to go in and you probably will, gain even more confidence. And I think what also is the case for Sonny too, is even if he isn't scoring goals, I think he has been playing a lot better recently, Sean. So what he's thinking probably is, you know what, my first touch is getting a lot better. My hold up play is getting a lot better. I'm not losing the ball nearly as much as I was in the beginning of the season, but the goals aren't really coming for me. So what he's probably thinking is, I need to get myself out of that funk too. And so he's probably just finding himself just firing even more frequently than he does. There was that one game, I think it was Newcastle maybe, where he took like 4 shots, I think, in the space of like right early in the game. And that spoke about someone that obviously is like trying to get himself out of some sort of, shooting kind of funk. It almost was, I think, a similar case. And I hate to even compare these two players because one is world class and I think one is worse than a donkey, but Darwin Nunez obviously does it. The guy takes like 6 shots a game, as we know, and there's that big stat there. The guy has been trying to get himself out of his own sort of shooting funk, out of his own finishing funk by taking at least 6 shots a game. But Jack, Sonny's probably doing something a bit similar. Sonny's maybe doing something a bit similar.
When you're out of form, you're spot on.
I was just going to say, just to compare, Gabriel Jesus starts the season and bangs in 8 goals in 9 games or whatever it is, right? He hasn't scored in 5-6 games now for Arsenal, but he contributes. He's contributed 5 assists in the last 4 games. Like he is. I'm not going to sit here and wax lyrical about an Arsenal player because it's not the time or the place. But my point is that what Sonny sometimes, like do a good deed and one comes back, karma or whatever else, right? That kind of idea. Like for me, if Sonny was to stop worrying about himself a little bit, I'm not. Listen, I feel like I shouldn't have to caveat this but you do, because otherwise you get people in the comments saying you can't believe you fucking hate Sonny. I don't hate Sonny.
Why are you being so negative, Sean?
Exactly, right? I love Sonny, love him to pieces. I want him back to his best, but I don't necessarily think the pathway for him to get back to his best is the best pathway for Tottenham to maximize their outcome. And for me, Tottenham comes first above anybody else, because I will still be a Tottenham fan. As long as I'm above ground, I'll be a Tottenham fan long after Sonny's kicked his last ball, scored his last goal. Same with Harry Kane. Same with Conte. And so whilst I have love for these temporary players here today, gone tomorrow, what I want to see them do is put the benefit of the club at the forefront of their mind. And if you do that, players like Sonny, if you were to focus and say, what's the best thing for Tottenham Hotspur in this situation, rather than what's the best thing for Heung-min Son, and he slips Kane in, or if he slips in Sessegnon or whoever it is, if you do that, I think things figure themselves out.
It does.
Like, suddenly the team plays better because you're 2-0 up rather than 2-0 down. Suddenly the other team, the dynamic of the game shifts. Suddenly the other team have to come out. They're chasing the game. That inevitably means Sonny has more space on the ball. And then when the time comes, bro, you're going to be in a situation where it's the correct decision for you to have a crack, because the game is shifted into a place that allows you to do what you do best. So any player that plays selfishly because they're trying to get themselves out of a funk, I think it's generally the bad decision. You should always do whatever situation you're in, no matter how dry of goals you are, whatever, you should always put the best. If the pass is the better decision, make the pass rather than just helping yourself out. Because
Well, they always say, Sean, when you're out of form, keep doing the right things, and
it will figure itself out.
The form will come back. But I think both you and Jack are absolutely correct. I mean, when you're a player out of form, Sean, you tend not to, and I know it sounds selfish, but you tend not really to worry about too much other people, and you're just concentrating on doing the basics right. Get your first touch right, hold it up, get your shot on target, this, that, and the other. You're not really worried about anybody else. And I think when I look at Son, I think that's where he's at right now. It's very much head down focus on just getting the basics correct first, and hopefully a goal will come his way. But it is at the detriment of a team. And what I will say is, I don't think Sonny means it. He doesn't mean it. But when you are in a funk down like that and you are down like that, you literally are told, concentrate on yourself, keep doing the basics correctly, and the form will come. I think if you've seen a confident Son, he would have no problem laying it into somebody else, because he knows when that ball comes to him, he's going to put it away. But right now, he's like, oh, I want to get a goal to get myself confident, and that's where it's hurting us at the minute. But Cooper, just quickly, the Lad's in the building. He says it's a massive game tonight, boys. The hairdresser is vital. He better be on top of his game tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Well, we know how much these Spurs players love their haircuts, so he better be on top of his form today, the Lad. I don't want to see a strand out of place on Harry Kane's hair. If it is, you think a hairdresser's got things to answer. But Cooper, where are you at with Sonny and Kane right now, listening to what the boys were saying there?
Yeah, I think the overall sense is no need to panic at the moment, is there? The class will show over the course of the season. I think we all get a bit carried away because we're used to seeing just this bucket full of goals from every game. Yeah. So when it doesn't happen, it feels like they're obviously off form. But if you actually look at it on the league table, we have scored 26 goals in 13 games. There's no real problem with us scoring goals as a team. So Sonny's having a dip in form. Some of the midfielders are popping up with some goals. It's not an issue. The issue is in some of these big games away from home, and we just don't turn up at all. Nobody's scoring. Nobody looks like scoring. Yeah. That's the real crux of it, and that's not just an issue as Sonny and Kane just failing to hit the target. Against United, we offered absolutely nothing at all. It's something else. I think the Sonny issue in particular, I'd say, I've always said this season, it looks like his position has changed slightly. He's playing more like the attacking midfielder than he is an out-and-out forward. Yeah. And Kane's now gone a lot more forward than he was.
Play always as
Let me ask you this, though, Cooper. When you look at the majority of games we've played, we've tend to have, when the opposition have scored, you would say most of the times we've probably gone 1-0 behind, which changes the game. It means then the opposition sit back. They don't allow the space that's usually there in behind for Sonny to run into and get his breakaway and get his moments. Now, look, I'm not excusing the moments he has been there. He didn't put them away, a.k.a. Newcastle. There's a few other. But with us conceding first, is that also taken away from Son's game? Because it just, the tactics and the opposition, the way they set up, are completely different then.
It's hard to say, isn't it? You'd have to look at evidence over a longer period to really get the trends on that. But yeah, there could well be something in that. End of the day, we just got to keep faith in Sonny that it will turn around and we'll see trends that we're more accustomed to. Take Bournemouth, for example. He didn't score. Yeah, but he did get 4 shots away. 3 of them were on target. It was more like Sonny we know. Now, some of these are just not going in this season where they were last season. Things like where he's hit the bar or just whistled just slightly past the post or just clipped the top of the bar and gone over. If 3 or 4 of those had gone in, we'd be talking about, him having 8-9 league goals. There wouldn't be a problem at all, would it? So it's fine margins. And for me, Sonny has never been the player that's in the thick of the action. He's the finesse. He's the end of the rapier-like attack. He's the finishing touch. So I'm not worried in it. unless he's going to continue with this kind of more defensively minded midfield role. He's doing a lot more tracking back than he ever used to. I feel I'm going to have to check. Might need Will Stewart for this one. Get on the stats with it, but he seems to be his position on the pitch seems to be further back now than it's been in a while.
Yeah, it seems to be the case. But look, we'll wait and see. Hopefully, Kane and Son do turn up tonight, because if we've any chance of getting a result, or if Marseille score and we need to score, it's going to come from either of them. I don't think we're going to get lucky like we did against Bournemouth, where our other players are going to step up for them. So hopefully they can step up tonight. Moondog 6 13-1, Bentancur and Dyer 16-1 to score anytime. My bets. Absolutely love that, Moondog. Hopefully we can get you a bit of money tonight, my man. Absolutely love it. But look, we've got 450 in house. I've got one more question. I'm going to put that. We're going to let absolutely everybody plug themselves before we end off as well. But all I want from you guys is just to smash that like button. Absolutely, Spurs fans are up for it today. It looks like we've all done our job, boys. We've got them all up for it. They're here with us. Absolutely love it. Come on, Tottenham! Love it. Jacko, set pieces have continued to help us when we need them the most, with Conte gone and many forwards out of action. Is it possible Gianni Vio might play a heavy hand in our threats on goal against a tough Marseille side? Because you've got to remember, our 2 goals against them were Richarlison headers. Do you think it's more likely Spurs will score from a dead ball or a corner today?
Yeah, with all these forwards missing, with all these forwards out of action, with missing Kulusevski, with missing Richie, and if with us potentially going with the 3-5-2 again, which, as I think we've seen, has not been very threatening going forward from open play, perhaps where we actually might score tonight, lads, I actually think is maybe from a set piece or something. Gianni Vio might cook up some magic for us. Also considering that Conte's not going to be there. He's not going to be able to direct his players as much. They might actually have focused on some situations where perhaps they can get ahead in the game, because we all know with the set piece, and I think the beauty of a set piece is you don't have to be playing particularly well in open play to get a goal from a set piece. You can just be really good from those. You can be really well trained, know what you're doing, and if you execute them, you can find yourself being 1-0, if not even 2-0 up in certain cases, ahead of a team that's even dominating you, or perhaps even playing better football than you. That's, I think, the beauty of sort of the set piece. So I hope Gianni Vio has something cooked up for us tonight, Dave, because especially if we go with the 3-5-2, which I don't really have as much confidence in, especially with how we've been kind of going forward and how it's not really been very, I would say, effective going forward, that formation or that shape. I think maybe the set piece coach, no matter what shape we do, no matter what formation we do, I think the set piece coach certainly could help us out today, especially that we're not having Kulusevski and other players in the team that would help us out. Also, again, considering, like we said, Sonny hasn't been firing in the same way that we know he can. I think Gianni Vio, Dave, I really hope he's going to help us out once again. He's already helped us out plenty of times, but tonight, who knows? Maybe he's the goal scorer.
I think it's 6 or 7 goals from set pieces or from corner kicks this season. He's been a massive help. Jack, I'm just going to leave you at this. I have to fly off to the toilet quickly. I can't hold this in any longer. And it's only a number 1. Don't worry, I'm not pulling a Dyer.
No worries, Dave. When it comes to set pieces, actually, this is a good one. Kuva. Kane has drawn a blank in his, it left me with a super chat. I'm off screen. I was looking at his script there. Anio Rodriguez, this style of play is Conte's way in building a mentality, a spine, and embed this in the players. Stick to it until perfection, and then reinforce. I definitely agree there, Anio. But what about you, Kuva? Do you feel like Conte is trying to build some sort of spine and backbone in this team? I did say before that if they actually found a way to win today, or even get out and actually get into the round of 16, we would find ourselves probably complimenting more of the players for their mentality instead of kind of going to the same talking points like we have before with the Spursiness and the lack of a backbone and all that stuff with these sort of players. So if they do actually get the win today, or if they do get the result today, Kuva, I think we might find ourselves complimenting the effect Conte might have had actually on this sort of mentality of the players.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with this comment. It's you do build from back. You do get a strong spine in the team. Pochettino did the same way. Different style of football, same principles. You get the core of the team correct. You become difficult to beat and gain a good winning mentality from it. Now, the trouble is, I'd back Conte to do that. I'd just have no faith that the club's going to supply him with the tools to do it. We're still seeing Dyer and Davis in the team, God knows how many years after they were deemed surplus. How do you look at it? Back Conte and then the club doesn't back him? What's that going to get us? Or do we just make our voices heard towards the club and say, just get these players in? Because I don't think being patient is going to get us anywhere. We need to change the personnel here. Conte knows that. He must be able to see some of these players are just not up to it. He's already hinted at we need 2 or 3 transfer windows to change it. Let's see that. Until we actually see the players coming in and then we see a Conte-style team, we're not going to see Conte-style results. We're not going to see a league trophy. At least give ourselves a chance to do something like that. Otherwise, this entire signing of Conte as a manager is pointless. So, I completely agree with the comment here. It's spot on.
Look, you know me. I don't like echo chambers, but I have to say I completely agree with him. It's something I kind of put out there the last week when I done my video of Dave's rant. I kind of said a lot about this, where you got to let Conte build his spine. Not only that, he's changing mentality as well around this football club, and that will happen with more and more signings. And look, for me, you look at the squad, it's not entirely his. He's got 9 that are his, I think 7 or 8. Maybe it's, I think, 8 that are his. You've got 9 still here from the Poch era, 4 or 5 from the Josie era, another 3 or 4 from the Nuno era. So you've got to let Conte build his squad before you see the full benefits of it. A bit like what Liverpool done with Klopp down the road, and they went on to win absolutely everything in club football. So for me, I think if Spurs fans want that, we've got to show some patience under some manager. And why not Conte, a guy who has a proven track record of trophies in the cabinet, rather than some guy coming in here where you just really don't know what you're going to get, to be honest with you. But that's where I'm at, Anil. But big up, Mr. Rodriguez. Really appreciate the support, brother. Really appreciate it. Big yourself up. Quality comment, my man. Getting the best out of all of us here. But look, we're going to start going around. We're going to get everybody's score predictions. And we're just going to end off. And then we'll be back here from 7:30 for the watch along. Before we let everyone plug themselves, you guys out there, massive shift from you all. 450, 460 in-house, most of the stream. People absolutely enjoying it. Loads of people in the comments saying, great show, great panel, this, that, and the other. So really appreciate it, guys. But look, you know you love them, so we're going to find out where we can find them. Sean, where can people find you, brother?
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. I had a great early afternoon. Getting back to the pump-ups with you boys. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. A lot of people saying they really enjoy having you back, Shawnee.
Oh, I appreciate you. I appreciate the appreciation. How about that? Yeah, guys, you can find me at Spurs Talk Show, all one word, sometimes 2. I think these days you can even find me if you put in Spurs Talk Show with gaps in between it. I'm findable these days. But yeah, I've just got over 3,500 today. So I'm now on the march towards 3,600. But let's call it the round number of 4,000. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, but mainly YouTube. And I've got my new router. So that'll be being set up tomorrow. And hopefully that
our show will be returning every Thursday, Shawnee.
I hope so, my man. I hope so. As of right now, it's just me doing my Tottenham walks. But pretty soon, I've got plans to get back to doing it with you Thursday. Jack, I want to do a show with you very, very soon. I've got a whole thing lined up about stack ranking squads, squads in the Premier League versus the Premier League itself. I want to get you on board on that one. And of course, Kuba, me and you get back to the old school system of streaming like we used to, hopefully in the near future as well, once I get my Wi-Fi fixed. But for the time being, guys, you can find me at Spurs Talk Show. I love you all. Thank you for having me. And
you can find him on the Sky Sports, queue and the waiting calls for the phone lines as well. You can find him there. But definitely, I'm looking forward to when Sean gets the internet function and everybody, because we did enjoy his live shows and want to see those back and running again. But for the time being, just keep following, the Bugsy Walks, everybody. But yeah, Sean, I'm looking.
She made an appearance on the show
with you and
about 5 minutes ago. She popped up and said hello to everyone.
She's beautiful.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, forget everything Sean just said there. It was all about Bugsy's appearance there. Sean's sensible enough to know where the real talent is on the show.
No, I absolutely, 100% know that half my followers are all about Bugsy Malone. No, that's okay.
Completely sell out for the animals. Yeah, it's the only way forward on these shows.
But everyone, please do get over and check out Shawnee's channel. It's great to have someone who's always majority 99% of the time as happy as me. So do get over there and check out Spurs Talk Show. Coov and the Kang Tree Spurs boys.
As good as any. Yeah, it's the apart from the Sava show on Sundays, it's the only ones on definitely full time. I was kind of with Shellside Spurs on Thursdays, well, and of course Bob on Saturdays. Oh, so all the channels, just tune in. I'm probably on one of them.
Definitely see Kuva on one of them for sure. No matter what channel you tune in, you see Kuva popping up somewhere. But guys, get over, check out Kuva and the Kind of Tree Spurs boys. Brilliant duo over there, and the two sons are absolutely class as well. I love the young lads' hair. But Jacko, where can people find you, my man?
Last time I slated Scott Parker. I think tomorrow I'm going to be slating, when I get the time, Steven Gerrard. So I have a good time and kind of some talking points on that one, Davo. I enjoyed kind of talking about Scott Parker and kind of, I think his foreseeable, lack of a future. And I think with Stevie G, it's going to be a similar story, I think, where I don't really know why a club would take a risk on him, considering maybe all the things that he was given actually at Aston Villa, and also how dreadful the football really looked in the first place. So that's really what kind of a sneak peek of that talk is going to be about. So pretty much just me slating Stevie G for, I would imagine, around 10 minutes and 15 seconds. So everybody check it out.
Everybody get over, check out the Flat Cap Euro Talk. Also, transfer window coming up. So any players you want Jack to do scout reports on, get them in, and Jack will surely.
Skov Olsen, Jack. I did a little video on him from the Bruges fella. I want you to go deeper than I can.
Heard he's pacey. That's all I know. I've heard he's very, very pacey and very large.
He's so good. I want
large
him so
and
much.
Pacey.
Yeah.
How they make him the Scandinavians, large and pacey like Holland.
Classic.
But look,
classy player.
we are going to end it there, guys. I'm on my way over to Weird Tottenham TV. I will be back here with Sean and Jack from 7:30, building up to the last half an hour before the games. But look, nerves are gone. Absolutely pumped. It's one of, I'd say, our biggest game in years trying to stay in this Champions League. Hopefully the boys can stand up and deliver. Everything is against us. Our away form, Conte being banned, what the Marseille fans done, take it, rotation, letting off fireworks to keep our players awake. The whole world is tuning in to see Tottenham screw up. Well, today it's going to be different. Tottenham are going to fucking stand up and be counted today. Let's get after them. I want to say a massive thank you to the panel. I think they've been absolutely brilliant with the questions I've thrown at them. I'm going to big myself up today. I thought the questions were brilliant as well.
Well done. Well done, everyone. Well done, you
guys. We listened to that was.
Selective hearing.
But look, guys, hopefully we see everybody back here at 7 o'clock or 7:30 for the watch along. It's a massive day ahead. We're building a lovely watch along crew. All you guys that are tuning in with us lately, me, myself, Sean, and Jacko as well. It's been absolutely brilliant sharing the the ups and downs with you guys, and hopefully long may it continue. Thank you to everybody taking time out your day at such an early hour to tune in and listen to what we have to say. A massive thank you to everyone who helped support the channel financially as well with the super chats. Really does help out everything we're doing here, guys. And look, see you at 7:30. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm changing it to 1-1 for my prediction.
I didn't give mine.
Quickly, score predictions, because I do have to go. Sean, score prediction.
2-1 Tottenham. I told you, Harry Kane to score first, or Bentancur. Now I've had a bet on Bentancur. Bentancur to score first, and then Lucas Moura for the winner. 2-1 Tottenham.
Come on, Kuva, Scott, you're sticking with 1-1?
1-1, and it just gives us enough a buoyant sort of boost to go on and beat Liverpool.
Love it. Jacko?
2-1. That sounds glorious.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm also going to go 2-1 this evening. Harry Kane definitely to score. Sonny with one as well. Absolutely can't wait. But, everybody get the beers out of the fridge, get the Spurs tunes on, and let's dominate Europe. Allez, 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 allez,
I might have a song. If we get it done tonight, I might write a song for the 90th minute. I'll see if I can do it. I'll figure it out, okay?
I was actually listening to the one that you done at the end of last season before we came on here.
Yeah, it'll be the same tune with new lyrics, but I'll see if I can figure it out during the game. I'll see what happens.
Love it. Guys,
come on, you Spurs. And Conte, I trust.
Come on, you Spurs.